Players booting up, excited to see what Todd and crew brought from PC. Dual sense buzzing in hand, this ship's about to land. Game loads in, what a surprise. Can't believe I believe those lies. The game runs great, I'm losing myself. Todd blessed it like a Holy Ghost, but then it crashed, Starfield crash. PS5 or Pro, it don't matter. Todd's work will surely shatter all hopes and dreams without delay. Breaking hearts, but he'll still run away with your money, your hopes, your dreams, and then Starfield will just go and crash again. It crashed, Starfield crash. PS5 or Pro, it don't matter. Todd's work will surely shatter. It was said that Luke was too mean, that Todd's tales would soon be seen to be true and honest and clean and pure. But it turns out the port's just a pile of manure. It crashed, Starfield crash. PS5 or Pro, it don't matter. Todd's work will surely shatter all hopes and dreams without delay. Breaking hearts, but he'll still run away with your money, your hopes, your dreams, and then Starfield will just go and crash again. It crashed, Starfield crash. PS5 or Pro, it don't matter. Todd's work will surely shatter. Oh Todd, what the actual hell is wrong? Oh Emil, someone do something. It crashed, Starfield crash. PS5 or Pro, it don't matter. Todd's work will surely shatter all hopes and dreams without delay. Breaking hearts, but he'll still run away with your money, your hopes, your dreams, and then Starfield will just go and crash again. It crashed, Starfield crash. PS5 or Pro, it don't matter. Todd's work will surely shatter. It crashed, Starfield crash. PS5 or Pro, it don't matter. Todd's work will surely shatter.
We have one more song to enjoy before we begin. And it's totally not because I need to run to the bathroom. I will not entertain any such nonsense. Totally unrelated. Totally unrelated. Just a second.
Years have gone by, Xbox done fried every chance they had. Now it's just bad. Could have changed the game, giving PlayStation a bit of blame. Push them to be better, lived up to the letter. Showed them X marks the spot, but just like we thought, Xbox wasted years, brought us all to tears. Prices shooting high, brings a tear to my eye. Games just get delayed, man, they could have had it made. But now it's on Asher, oh Asher. Xbox needs your help. Years of mismanagement, old leaders face banishment. Now Asher can rescue it, change it, snap it, fix it. Asher, oh Asher, you're our only hope. We pray that this is real and not just cope. Please save the brand and look us in the eye. Say you're a real person, not just another AI. Everything became an Xbox thanks to Sarah and Phil. Audience hated it, they'd had their fill. Starfield was boring, Call of Duty still blows. Fable looks great, but will we get it? Who knows? But now it's on Asher, oh Asher. Xbox needs your help. Years of mismanagement, old leaders face banishment. Now Asher can rescue it, change it, snap it, fix it. Asher, oh Asher, you're our only hope. We pray that this is real and not just just another AI. Asher, we've been waiting for oh so long for someone to come and sing a different song. We're tired and sad, but you can give us hope. Prove to us and that it's not just cope. But now it's on Asher, Asher, Asher. Xbox needs your help. Years of mismanagement. Old leaders face banishment. Now Asher can rescue it. Change it, snap it, fix it. Asher, Asher, you're our only hope. We pray that this is real and not just cold. Please save the brand and look us in the eye. Say you're a real person, not just another AI.
Okay, I'm back. Not from the bathroom, though. I would never do that. I would never. Never. Me? No. No, I would never. I would never. How dare you? How dare you suggest it? How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Everybody feeling good? What was the first song called? That song was carefully produced by a robot, but it is a beautiful masterpiece. I wrote the lyrics for, at the very least, called "Todd's Work Will Shatter. It shall. I love your Concord shirt. Thank you, my friend. You know, I ordered this. This is going to be surprising. You may not believe me. These were on clearance. Who would have guessed? They were on clearance. Don't know why, but they were on clearance, and they just wanted to get rid of them. It was really bizarre, but I got it for like $7, I think. It was like a few weeks after something happened. But they were just trying to clear them out, so I got it for like $7 or something, and you can't order them anymore. I wanted to also get a Concord hoodie, and because it's like a piece of gaming history, even if the game was crap, like it's still like iconic, you know. But no, they sold out everywhere. They ran out quick. But yes, I do have my Concord shirt. I will wear it in infamy forever. $7 for a whole box. Yeah, they made more. This is not a joke. This sounds like a joke, but it's literally not. It's math. They made more on this shirt than they did on the entire game. Figure that out. They should just make t-shirts. Like, why make games at this point? I mean, honestly. It's like I told people, if you made a single dollar on Concord in some capacity, you made a TikTok and made a penny in ad revenue, you made more money than Sony did on that, which is crazy. Crazy, but that's just what happens, man. That's what happens. Anyway, Luke Stevens is live playing 007 on vacation. Life is good, my friend. It is good. Yes, 007 did just drop in early access this morning. I have also played it, and I love it, man. It's really, really good. It is exactly the way I phrased it in my review was it is exactly what I was hoping it would be. They meld Uncharted with Hitman gameplay in a way that is so complementary and that works so well. It's just really, really, really good. The delay also was put to good use. It runs really well. I was even able to play it on like Steam Deck just fine. Really, really solid. How long was it? So the core campaign, I'm sure it changes based on difficulty settings as well. I played my first run on the normal, like I think they call it intended gameplay difficulty. I think it's called intended, but I play it usually on whatever the default is going to be. And for me, I like really taking my time and like enjoying it, every optional conversation, every like exploring every nook and cranny. For me, my total runtime was like somewhere between 14 and 15 hours. To be fair, some of that was experimenting with Tax Sim, that secondary mode. So an exact runtime is kind of tough to pin down. But after that, I did put more time into the Tactical Sim mode, which fully unlocks after credits roll. And that's really solid. And there's a good number of things in it that they are going to do long term in terms of like supporting the game with extra challenge modes and stuff, just like they've done with Hitman, which is awesome. So overall, I mean, it is a very high production value cinematic game, but then like, again, it's Uncharted, but with Hitman level design and encounters. Like, it is pretty remarkable. Like and it's also, for me, my ideal length was somewhere between 12 and 15 hours. So like they landed right where I was hoping it would be, because the inevitability with games like this that stretch too long is that they burn you out. They run into a brick wall and then it gets grindy. Like even the end of Uncharted 4 got really grindy in the last like 4 to 5 hours, where they just were like, what are we going to do? More enemies, fight through more waves of enemies. And it just kind of kills the momentum. So with these types of narrative stories, you have to balance it out. And I think they did a really, really good job. Obviously, for some people, they're like, $70, 15 hours. Even if you get another 10 to 20 hours out of the tax sim mode, for some people, they're like, I'll go buy Crimson Desert, which has 1,000 hours, which is fine if that's what you prefer. I personally, at this point in my life, I really appreciate lean, mean 15-hour machines. Like I am much more into really polished, high effort 15-hour games that don't feel like they're wasting any of my time with any bloat, as opposed to like 30 hours, but it could have been over in 15. You know, they really stretched it out. So I'm here for it, and I'm happy about it. But yeah, you should know what you're getting into before you get into it. As for literally engineered for me, yeah, it was what is the light in First Light? They do, so I won't spoil it, because it actually has to do with like a pretty big story beat, why it's called First Light. But they do say the thing, okay? Like they do say the thing. They don't say 007 First Light, but they do specifically mention First Light, and there is a narrative reason for it. I won't spoil it, but yeah. Yeah. Do you always go for the normal difficulty on the first run if I'm doing a review? So like the exception being like free flow combat games, a lot of more tactical like RPG games, I'll usually go harder. But typically I try to play it on what the vast majority of players will play it on, which is the default difficulty. So I like, because if I'm reviewing something, it's not fair for me to like play it on super death march, ultra hard, whatever, and then be like, yeah, so the combat's pretty tough. You'd be like, shut up. Like you did that to yourself, you know? So it would be like if I was reviewing Saros and I put all the extremely difficult, like difficulty modifiers, the is it Carcosian? I can never remember the exact word. But all of those modifiers, if I did all the modifiers to make the game way harder on myself, and then I like, yeah, so the game is really challenging. You'd be like, yeah, you did that to yourself. Like, what are you talking about? Carcosian. It didn't sound right when I said it out loud. Carcosian. It's like, that sounds weird. But anyway, I play it on most games on default. And then if I go through again, I'll play it, crank it up or do whatever I need to do. But most games I play it on default. Lego Batman, played it on hard. Free flow combat systems are just better on hard difficulty, being honest. Counts me. I don't care. Other games like RPGs that have a bunch of gameplay systems, usually playing it on harder works. Yeah, that's good. Does the leaderboard work when it goes live today? Yes, it was even working during the review period. So I saw some other reviewers, their names. I don't know why they have their names as their actual gamer tags. But yeah, you do you. But yeah, I did see that they were working, and so like if you do the tax sim, you can go through challenge runs to like, okay, kill 30 or get to the end or find these objects in the environment and then escape, and you can only use 6 bullets and they have these modifiers on them, and then you get through, they score it based on a bunch of factors, and then based on your score you get put on a leaderboard, and they also put you on a leaderboard globally and compared to friends on your platform, so Steam friends or PlayStation friends or whatever, so you can compare how much better you are than your friends. Yeah. Lenny Kravitz was bad in it from what I watched on stream. I don't think he was bad. I wouldn't say bad, but he's like barely in the game. I mentioned it in my review. I would have liked to see more of him because he's very good. I mean, he's a very, very good actor. But he, despite being a pretty big marketing beat, he's not in the game much. I don't want to spoil how much or how little or whatever, but he is not in the game anywhere near as much as I thought he would be. I'll just say that. How did you find the character relationships dynamic? Are they as cohesive as the Uncharted games? I think so. There were a couple of characters that were kind of like, I don't know, they didn't click with me at first, but by the end of the game, they had done a really good job developing those relationships. So they did a really good job with it. There are some steamy moments too. Just say that. People who were worried that this was going to be like James Bond, but with, you know, rubber gloves and everything is like super sterile. That's not it. I'm happy to report. It's they do show that James is good with the ladies. I'll just say that. Shit marketing done? No, it's just whenever you do any sort of promotion, it's always like a mixture of what you tell people and then also what like the audience is inferring from that. So like, don't get me wrong, Lenny Kravitz is in the game. He plays an important character within the game, but he's not like the main guy. Like he's not in the game as much as I just would have thought, considering that they brought him out at, I think it was the Game Awards that he came out on stage. So I would just like to see more of him. And they could, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they do like some of those challenge maps where he's now a character in that. But he is in the game. I just wanted to see him more, you know? Just wanted to see him more. Let's see. How's the storytelling dialogue cheesy like Saints Row or solid? No, I would not compare. This is in another universe compared to Saints Row. Like, I can't even begin to describe. Saints Row is on, it is on the Voyager probe outside of the solar system. And then this is like in Mississippi. Like they are in such different universes. It's not even like comparable. Like not even close. Let's see. Also, I saw this. I wanted to show you this because I don't know why this made me laugh so hard. First look at Woody's big ass beer belly in Toy Story 5. Stuffalo Bill. I don't know why Stuffalo Bill got me, but Stuffalo Bill, dude. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. I don't know why they're still making Toy Story movies. I even have kids, dude, and I stopped watching after 3. I thought that was like the perfect way to wrap it up and stop it. They're still doing them though, but honestly, Stuffalo Bill, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. People still follow Toy Story. Dude, this movie's gonna make like $3 billion or something. Every time I see one of these movies, it's like the live action Disney stuff where I'm like, who is seeing the Lion King live action? And then you realize it makes like $1 billion. I guess people are. I it's not me. I'm just kind of mentally checked out. But I'm also kind of a boomer when it comes to movies. You know, like I don't get this Marvel thing. What's with all this Marvel stuff? I don't get it. What's the best controller? I'm gonna be honest. I like the Elite Series 2. I really like it. I like the wings on the back. I just really like it. That's probably my preferred one. But to be fair, I haven't experimented with a lot of controllers. Yeah. James Bond doesn't have student debt, dude. That would have taken it up a notch. James complaining. Why did you take this job at MI6? Well, I've got student loans I've got to pay. Got a degree in romantic Spanish literature. I used that reference one time in a video. I was like, I think it was about Saints Row. And I was like, yeah, it's like all of them got degrees in romantic Spanish literature and now they're complaining about it and robbing banks because they're eating the rich, you know, whatever. It's so cringy. Somebody was like, dude, if you're going to say something like that, just use like an actual comparison. I was like, dude, in high school, I don't remember the guy's name. In high school, one of my teachers, he was only a teacher there for a semester, but he was a Latin teacher for our Latin class, because I went to one of those schools where we learned Latin. And no joke, he was there because he was applying for like master's programs and stuff. But he had gotten a double major undergraduate degree on, I believe it was like classical literature, Latin, and stuff like that. And then romantic Spanish literature, which I didn't even know you could do. And I remember in class, in high school, he was complaining regularly, like once or twice a week, about how he couldn't find a job in his field. Shocker. And how he had no money. It was like, bro, you did that to yourself. I don't know what to tell you. You get a degree in romantic Spanish literature. I don't, at that point, you went for years knowing how stupid that was. I don't really feel bad for you. You know, if I go and get a degree in puppetry and then I'm complaining that I can't find sustainable work as a puppeteer, you guys would make fun of me. And I think that would be fair. You know, I'd be like, yeah, you did that. I would have loved to have studied like theater or study, I don't know, video production or something like that, you know, in the middle of Colorado. But that wouldn't have made sense. It wouldn't make sense. So I got the boring degree. Say it with me. I have a degree in finance. Trust fund, blue eyes. That guy. I'm that guy. But it was always fascinating in college talking to people. And it was like, they could not fathom, my like peers, they could not fathom getting a degree in something for a practical reason, as opposed to it just being what you thought was fun. You know, like when I remember talking to somebody and they were complaining because they were getting I think they were getting a music degree paired with theater. And they were complaining that they were applying for like internships and they were applying for jobs, but they couldn't get a job within any theater. And, you know, they just couldn't figure anything out. And they were like, yeah, I'm going to be broke. I don't think I'm ever going to pay off my student loans or whatever. This person had like over $150,000 in student loan debt at the time. Now I'm sure it's even more. And I remember talking to them and just casually mentioning that, like, yeah, I mean, do you think I like love spreadsheets? A little bit, but like, do you think I love spreadsheets and financial analysis? Like, no, I'd much rather be making videos all day, which I ended up being able to do. Thank goodness. Thank you to you guys. But the degree was like to be practical, to get a skill that was applicable in a career long-term, you know, like that just to me, like, do you think every welder is like super passionate about welding? Probably not. Do you think every plumber is super passionate about like breaking blockages in pipes? Probably not. Probably not. But they do it because it's practical and it's a great way to make money and provide. Like, I just don't understand why people can't get this, but what are you going to do? U.S. student loan debt is so dystopian. Yeah, and a lot of it, apparently not all of it, but a lot of it can even carry forward after you pass. It gets passed down. I think it's different if it's private student loan debt versus federal student loan debt versus federally subsidized public student loan debt. There's all sorts of different tiers to it, but a lot of that debt can even pass to like your kids when you die, which is horrifying. Like, it's like evil, dare I say. And the government guarantees it all, so they will lend money to anyone for anything, because even if you default, the government will guarantee it. And so they will lend somebody getting a romantic Spanish literature degree $200,000, even though they shouldn't. They're never going to get that money back from that person, but they will do that because they know the government's going to back it up. You know, it's just, but the only way to fix it is for the government to stop guaranteeing those loans, which means that the Fed would have to like only back up loans that are like viable or financially viable or likely to repay. So then you would only be able to get student loans to go into like engineering, mathematics, the sciences, STEM fields, basically. They wouldn't do any sort of loans for literature degrees, art degrees, which I think would drive the cost of those programs down to the floor. I think they would adjust. They're inflated now because they can get the money anyways, you know. But anyway. Thank you, Luke. Just downloaded 007 First Light. You're going to enjoy it, my friend. You're going to enjoy it. Tell you what, it's going to suck when Jake or Logan Paul are running for president. Dude, I remember just a few years ago, it was like pretty likely that Kanye was going to run for president. And then like Dwayne The Rock Johnson was thinking about it. And I'm like, why can we make politics super boring again? Can we do that? Like, I'm not saying make everybody 80 years old. I'm not saying that. But can we just make it like boring? Does everything have to be like a WWE match? Like, do we have to do that? Speaking of WWE, did you guys see this? This went viral a few days ago. An automated AI WWE news channel on YouTube tries to pronounce WWE as a word and it ends up going insane. So if you don't know, there are entire channels that are just built with AI writing scripts, doing the voiceover, doing the video editing, uploading, titling, everything. And they just turn them into content mills and content farms. And there's unfortunately a lot of people that fall for it. But this is an example when the AI voice didn't know what to do. This is pretty funny.
Can you afford it?
Bear with me. It takes about 45 seconds to a minute to get to it.
But do you feel like you have to be there? That's the question. And for a lot of people, the answer this year seems to be not quite. The show will happen. The stadium will likely fill up one way or another. What like
Then it tries again. This is gonna change the world. I just love how it kind of freaks out. It gets quiet, and then it tries again.
like
Oh, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Oh, so yeah, if you wanted to see any other WWE videos, or as he says, what videos, Joe Lizo WWE has plenty of them. 4,000 views. How insane is that, dude? Like, that video got 4,000 views, and just think of all the other stuff. Like, how many people have put their blood, sweat, and tears into something and struggled to get views, and then they casually, get 4,000 views on something like that. It's crazy. Even if it is fake, it's still really freaking funny. I'm still here for it. I'm still here for it. Real quick. I feel like we got to mention this. I feel like we got to talk about this. We have a potential Persona leak. Tell you about that in just a second. I should call her. Yeah, it did sound like a little bit of glug. Tell you what. Kyle, thank you for the 5. I'll catch up on these in order, so bear with me if you guys send stuff in. I appreciate you. Your take on mixtape bewilders me. It's not on today's playlist. Rewinds cassette with pencil has to be one of the most pretentious lines I've ever heard. Yeah, I mean, it's like we talked about a week ago or whenever, like, the mixtape stuff was going down. I like campy, kitschy, like indie film style projects like that. I totally understand why people don't connect with it, but I'm not going to like pretend as though I didn't like something when I did like it or had fun with it. It's far from a perfect game, but I had a really good time with it. I really liked mixtape, but it is one of those games you will really like it or you will hate it and think it's so cringe. It's just, there's very little middle ground.
Jacob Wilson 6,847 donated $19.99 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Last time we talked about everyone liking money. I have a follow-up question. Why doesn't Microsoft make Bethesda make an unbuggy game? It would sell better if it was better, especially with the
Sorry. It's funny to me to be like, why doesn't Microsoft just make them not do what they do? Make them better. So here's the thing, Jacob, that I will say. Okay. Thank you for the 20. That's very, very generous. What I will say is that Starfield, was far and away the most polished game that Bethesda Game Studios has ever put out. Full stop. Full stop. You guys know me. I make fun of Starfield and BGS all the time, but I will be real with you. That was the most polished game they've ever put together. Was it perfect? No. It still had plenty of bugs. In my review on launch, or I guess embargo day, I showed a lot of the bugs that I ran into. And, you know, it ran better, it looked better, it was more performant, and there were less bugs than any other Bethesda game at launch in their history. I think the problem with Bethesda, like, there's a workflow issue at some level within BGS where they are incredibly inefficient. They will take 2 years to put something together that another studio could do in a few months. Like, and I think a prime example is to just compare like the crazy volume of updates and changes and overhauls they've done with like Crimson Desert compared to what they've done with even Starfield in the last 3 years, 2.5 years. It's wild. Within the first 6 months, they've less than 6 months, I think, technically. They cranked out more stuff for Crimson Desert than Starfield did in 6 months. I think it's actually been, what, 3 months? When did it launch? Was it February or March? I don't know. However, they've done a lot more is the point. Crimson Desert's done a lot more than even Starfield's been able to do in 2.5 years. When you consider all the content overhauls, gameplay altering stuff, and things that they've totally changed and improved. And I think that shows that there is just functionally some differential. I believe Pearl Abyss, the team at Pearl Abyss that's in charge of Crimson Desert, is significantly smaller than the team at Bethesda Game Studios that was in charge of Starfield. Like, they should be able to do way more, but they are doing way, way less. So I think there is some production pipeline issue where Bethesda just has a ton of inefficiencies that other studios don't have. That means they have to work way longer for even less product. And that production pipeline issue stacks on top of itself and leads to issues where, like, if a bug is introduced here or if something should have been polished out or cut, they just can't, because cutting that to replace it with something else would mean delaying it 6 months. And they can't do that. So you end up with a lot of maybe bad ideas or ideas that weren't ready for prime time ending up in the final shipped version because they just can't afford to delay it 6 months to overhaul it. You can't iterate, you know, you just can't really do that. So for I think them to fix BGS's issues requires major restructurings, and realistically, unfortunately, restructurings usually mean like layoffs, rearranging teams, moving these guys over here. This is the new manager in charge of that, doing a bunch of stuff like that. And I think they could do it and get it running way, way better. But that assumes that they think there's an issue. And this has been my point for the last 2.5 years. I don't think BGS thinks there is an issue. Like, we all feel that, like, at the very least, as Meta says, Starfield was bland and flavorless. I think that's most people's feeling of Starfield. Even if, like, you don't hate it, you don't love it. It's just like, meh. My stance on Starfield has always been that it's just meh, you know, which is really, really, you know, disappointing considering what BGS has historically been able to do with previous games. But I don't think they even see it that way. Every time you talk or they do interviews with Todd or ML or any of those guys, they constantly reframe it as, no, it's our most successful game ever in terms of player count, in terms of raw hours played, in terms of engagement, in terms of these stats. I'm sure they're making more through creations than they've ever made before. Like, for them, they're looking at metrics that pat themselves on the back. And then when there's people like ML, who was on Twitter and was playing defense for it and like refusing, he was like, I understand people don't like it, but I understand there's other people that really liked it. Like, he got roasted so bad in the comments that he deleted his Twitter account and moved to Blue Sky. Like, you just leave this forum to go to what's a much more, I guess, friendly environment, or maybe where there's more positivity would be how they'd say it. And I when I see that, I'm like, okay, so you're not engaging with the feedback. You are choosing to go somewhere where it's more comfortable. And that is not how you grow. Like, that's the same thing as if you're weightlifting and you're like, this weight is heavy. I'm gonna lower it down a little bit. Oh, that's way better. Like that's basically what's happening. And then you shouldn't be surprised when you're not putting on mass, you know? Shouldn't be surprised. That's all I'm saying. Know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? So I think the changes at BGS are possible, but in order to change, you have to want to change. And I don't think they think there's a problem. That's why I've said, be honest, be direct in your feedback. Don't like pat them on the head and be like, you're trying really hard. That doesn't help them. That will not make Elder Scrolls 6 magically great. Hate to tell you. If you're worried that Elder Scrolls 6 is just going to be Starfield 2 with swords, don't pat them on the head and treat them like a toddler who just drew a person that looks like a rock with arms. Okay? Hold them to a higher standard. They're not toddlers. They're adults, and this is literally their job. So, you know, like, let's push them. Let's push them, you know? Why not? Luke, for a new PC build, what kind of motherboard, CPU, etc., to make sure it's future-proof to work through the next gen? I mean, mid to top tier. I will I will defer to the expertise of people in the chat, because I feel like there's a lot of very, very smart people in chat who will be able to guide you a little more specifically than I will. My last PC I built like a year and a half ago when my previous one crapped out. So I have not built something in the AI RAM crisis debacle. So I don't know how to navigate that super well. But what I will say is make sure to prioritize upgradability. One of the common things people don't think of when building a PC for the long term is both power supply, having enough power supply for future GPUs that might suck up more power, but then also they don't consider that you might start with like a single slot GPU that's a little weaker, but if you want to future, like in the future, upgrade to a super heavy duty GPU, dude, these things are chunky. These things are chunky. My like 5090, I'm not joking, is like 3 slots thick. It's stupid. It's outrageous. And so if you didn't anticipate that and your case is too small, or if your motherboard only has 1 or 2 slots, like you're going to get screwed. So I would say make sure you have extra wiggle room. Lastly, I would say make sure you got plenty of RAM slots. I'm not saying buy RAM and fill them up today because it's super expensive, but have room to be able to upgrade it in the future without having to like fully remove slots or DIMMs rather. You know, that's what I would say. That's what I would say. I thought you said the 5090 was worse and you weren't getting it. Yeah, like a year and a half ago when they first dropped, or two, whenever the 5090 dropped, I was not getting it. And then my PC crapped out and we had to do a number of upgrades. And when in Rome, baby, when in Rome. So when we overhauled, and thankfully before the RAM crisis happened, when we had to replace a bunch of parts of it, we just upgraded the full thing. My streaming PC is the same as it has been. It still has pretty much, I mean, this thing has been a trooper. I don't think I've had to swap anything out in the streaming PC, but the gaming PC has had issues. She's had issues. It's been a bit of a headache, if I'm being real. Bit of a headache, but yeah, it's working now. It's working now. Don't cheap out on the PSU. Yeah, don't. PSUs are like the thing that is shoving electricity to all of the core components. It's the foundation of the house. It's the foundation of the house. Lucky Luke IRL. Well, I mean, it's Micro Center all day, every day. Micro Center had like, I think the 5090 I got was something stupid, like $800 off or something on the day I got it. Because I went in and we had to get like new RAM, a new motherboard, a new water cooler, new fan controllers because the fan controller melted. That's a whole other thing. We had a bunch of problems. So I didn't intend to like upgrade the GPU on the day, but then it was like, oh. And the previous one, we needed to move over because we wanted to do AV1 encoding. So we were gonna like consider doing kind of GPU musical chairs, move this to that, move this one to my wife's computer. I was considering it. And then I saw that the 5090 they had was like stupid discounted. And I was like, oh, mighty tempting. Now that GPU is probably worth like $15,000 for all I know. You know, it's crazy. Micro Center is definitely a place to go to save money on bundles and such if you're planning a build. Yeah, if you are able to go to Micro Center, if you have a Micro Center where you live, Go to Micro Center. Everybody there, they know what they're doing. I mean, they know what they're doing. You walk in and you can smell their computer expertise. I'll tell you what, it's remarkable. Best Buy, you walk in, nobody has any idea what they're doing. There's usually like 2 or 3 guys in the store that know what they're doing at Best Buy. Everyone else is in high school or is 80 years old. And I'm saying that as somebody that used to work at Best Buy. Okay, just being honest. I said it. But Micro Center, dude, they all know what they're doing. They all know what they're doing. And I think they even do like price matching and stuff to online retailers. Like they'll take care of you. They'll take care of you. So yeah, Micro Center all day, every day. They stink. I didn't say that. I just said you could smell their computer expertise. Don't put words in my mouth or my nose. Yeah. Not even I know what I'm doing at Best Buy. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I work at Best Buy and I confirm he's not wrong. It's too bad that, I mean, it used to be that they would like, when I worked there, I think it was like 2017, 2018, something like that. And they like sent us to a hotel to do training on upcoming TVs. Like they sent us to a hotel. They had a conference room in the hotel where they had like vendors for big TV manufacturers showing us the latest tech and how all this, like they put effort into training people. They would send you to trainings and it was expensive for them to do it, but it was great. Now they don't do like any of that anymore. They stopped doing all of it. They're just like, people order online anyways. Whatever. Luke, do you measure how much electricity per day your computer uses? Just curious. I mean, not actively. I get the electricity bill, but no, I'm not tracking how many watts I'm pulling or anything. But I'm one of those guys when I get the computer and they have the eco settings. They're like, let the computer low voltage, whatever, to save your electric bill or what have you. I turn that shit off, man. I crank that performance, turbo on all the settings. Life's too short to worry about pennies spread over thousands, but still. Yeah, max power. Yeah, I've never known somebody who goes in and uses eco mode. Honestly, eco mode on the laptop makes sense. I get it. Better battery life. I get it. When I'm plugged into a wall, it's going to save me like 15 cents a month. Like, I don't think it makes that big of a difference, honestly. But we also, where I live, we have peak pricing for electricity. So it's more expensive. I think it's like 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The cost per kilowatt goes up by like 3x or something. The rest of the day, it's very, very cheap. It's not really an issue. But anyway. Luke, every time you do a Star Citizen video, usually it's just you flying around semi-aimlessly. When are you actually going to try doing some of the cool new missions and stuff? People got pseudo raids now. I want to. Our best time that we had with the game was when we did it on stream and a bunch of people from the community came in. I was talking with some people about doing a collab with some like Star Citizen creators specifically, where they would go and like show high level gameplay. And I do want to do that, and I will do that. We wanted to tie it to a big beat. I was hoping to do it when Squadron 42 got like an announced release date or close to launch for Squadron 42. I wanted to do it there, but now it looks like that's going to be delayed. So I'm not sure exactly when we'll do it, but I want to do like a big deep dive on it, on like what you will do after 50 hours, after 200 hours, that type of thing. I want to get into it, as opposed to just talking about it. But it's also just kind of tricky in terms of recording that type of footage, because for me, when I'm doing like a Star Citizen video, I'm not able to put in like 100 hours to get to like high level gameplay for that one video, because I'm also trying to juggle 15 other games that we're doing content on. So it's just tricky in terms of production. But I think the way to do it is to do it as like a collab where I can work with somebody who knows the game backwards and forwards and can kind of provide a more clearly guided experience that will help more casual gamers understand what you're doing from moment to moment, which I think will be cool. So that is the goal. That is the goal. You should do a Salty Mike. Salty Mike, I remember we watched one of his videos when they had the whole Blade debacle. We did that. Space Tomato we've done stuff with. So we'll figure it out. Yeah, I want to do it for sure. Luke, how many FPS with a 2 time wave? Thank you for that. How many FPS will GTA 6 get on base PS5? 30. Full stop. Full stop. Bro, I got a pretty nasty DM from a guy that was very upset that I said I didn't think GTA 6 was going to run above 30. Like, I would read it to you, but it was so vulgar that, like, I was impressed. I was like, bro, you are an angry little man. Like, wow. It was crazy. I don't even think that that's like a hot take to be like, yeah, I think 30 is like base cons performance. 60 would be a miracle of software engineering if they could hit that on the pro. But did I apologize? No, I would not engage with that. No. I'll engage with people if I see a message and I'm like, this is an honest thought or an honest question, or like, this could be interesting to have a conversation. But I'm not going to engage with that. Yeah. Read it, Luke. He used a number of let me back up. I am white, as you can see from the color of my skin. He used words quite frequently that, let's just say, they don't typically get applied to people of my melanin density. He was an angry man. So I don't, gamer words. So I don't know how to read it. It would be like, hey, you, GTA 6 will run at 60. I'm going to grab a rope. Like, it was bad. It was really, really bad. So I don't think I should. I'm going to nicely pass on the request, and I think we're just not gonna engage with it. Mercurial Funk, thank you for the 5. Hey Luke, they just added Jason to Dead by Daylight and he looks cool. Who do you think they're gonna add next, Pennywise or OJ Simpson? I was with you for a second. I was like, oh, interesting question. Okay. You got me. I was with you until the last little bit. That would be a viral choice if they were to do that. I'll tell you what. Spyro, thank you for the 10. Very generous. Hi, Luke. You clearly love the Batman Arkham series, but I've never seen you mention Arkham Shadow. Did you play it? If so, did you like it? If not, why not? It's personally my favorite VR game ever. I did actually play it, and it's honestly, like, this is the boring answer, because it's just one of those things that is tricky about making videos on stuff. Arkham Shadow, of course, being like a VR game, is really hard to capture. It's really hard to like make a video out of, because they do have a capture system within the MetaQuest, and I have my MetaQuest. You can see it. It's actually right there. They do have a like system for it, but it's really tough to be able to record and like actually make it look good. We've done some stuff with it. We've done some videos with VR games. It's just really hard to do in terms of production and make it not motion sickness inducing. Because one of the videos we did, people were saying, they're like, I really want to watch the video. I think it was on the original Rocksteady VR game, Batman Arkham whatever, like that original VR game they made in like 2016. I made a video on that, and a bunch of comments were like, I want to watch the video because I've always been curious about the game, but I can't watch it without getting like actually sick because it's just really, really tough. So it's just one of those things that I was never able to kind of crack the code of how to capture it and make it not hurl worthy. But yeah, Shadows was really good, and the VR stuff is really cool. I like VR games a lot. It's just tough to make content for, unfortunately. It's just the nature of the beast, you know. But what are you gonna do? What are you going to do? Tell people to suck it up. You know, maybe that's the key. Maybe that's the key. I should just tell people to suck it up. Watch the content. Stop complaining, basically. I need some support. Carl 102, thank you for the 10. Hey Luke, I scrolled too far. Where did I leave off? Oh god, it scrolled too far. Oh god. Loved your video on Star Citizen. Reaching 1 billion. Have considered doing a similar video on the GTA RP community, as it's always baffled me. But I have a hunch it's going to be big in GTA 6. Yeah, they bought a company that just does GTA RP stuff. So they bought a company that is all they do, is they make RP servers and manage them and stuff. And so they're going to have that in GTA Online, GTA 6 Online, whatever they end up calling it, from day one. So I do think it'll be a big deal. As for making content on it, I'm open to investigating it. I haven't talked about this before, but I was reached out to by like a 20 million sub YouTube channel asking me if I wanted to participate in an RP thing they were doing. The commitment was a bit steep though. It was like, you need to get your whole community and you need to play it on stream for this many days or whatever. Like it was a lot, and I just didn't think it made sense because it was GTA 5 RP. IGN, no. Can you imagine? They don't talk to me. So there's the potential for it. I don't know exactly how to do that, but I'm down to investigate it because I've also always been fascinated by that. I've always been like, how does that work? But yeah, anyway. Yeah, anyway. I'm at work and customers, says Trafalgar, thinking of 2 months. I'm at work and customers just looked at me like I'm insane from laughing so hard out of no place. Because of the WWE thing. And this is why dude, it was so good. Let's see. True. Thank you for that. Is it worth it to buy the RTX 5090 over the 5080? It depends on where you're starting from and your display. I'm gonna keep it real with you. If you're running with like 120 hertz 4K display, it doesn't matter. Don't spend the money because you won't like really see the benefits, I don't think. The 5090 makes sense if you have like a 4K 240 hertz display, then it makes sense. Otherwise, I'm gonna be real. I think it's overkill. I'm just going to be real. Once you get to that level of GPU, you have to make sure every link in the chain is strong enough to like keep up with it. Otherwise, you're just going to have it's like having a Aston Martin, to use a 007, relatable, pertinent, timely. It's like having an Aston Martin, but only driving it in a 20-mile-per-hour school zone. You're never going to get to really enjoy what makes that car special. What makes that car that car. So if you getting the upgraded monitor then makes it so you effectively are on like a racetrack and you can really enjoy it and push that to its limits. But I would say definitely make sure everything in your system is upgraded such that you could really enjoy it. Otherwise, it's just for show. I mean, you're not going to crank it, Let's see. Jacob, thank you for that 20 again. That was very generous. Tall guy, thank you for that 2. Did you see the AC Black Flag Boar combat video? Yeah, they changed it from the QuickTime event that it was in the base game to an actual combat encounter. I think they're too beefy. The thing is, in Black Flag, you are hunting animals to use their pelts for upgrades. That's what the original intention of hunting animals in the game was, to level up your gear. That's what they did in the original. So for the remake to be yes, and now go get the pelt, and you just see Edward chopping this boar with a sword, it just feels weird. It doesn't feel appropriate. I think what they should do is just make it either a one-hit kill, or they can only be killed with sneak assassinations or something with the hidden blade. Do that, and I think that works way better. But it just feels weird to be I'm hunting, chop, 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 chop. I need this pelt. It's not going to be much left. It's going to be, fringe by the time you're done. So yes, I did see that. Meta, thank you for that $5 super chat again about Starfield being a sandwich that held itself together. It just tasted bland and flavorless, indeed. Leo, thank you for the 5. Hi, Luke, for a new PC build. What kind of motherboard? Oh, we did read that one. Hopefully, chat gave you some recommendations. Victor Rupa, thank you for that. Pearl Abyss has 1331 employees. BGS is 450. To be clear, I said the team working on Crimson Desert. So if you're not familiar, Pearl Abyss has a huge staff. They have like 2 or 3 floors of the skyscraper that they work in, but they have a team working on the MMO, a pretty massive team working on the MMO, Black Desert Online. They have a tech support team like engineers and stuff. They have a team that was doing pre-production and early work on Doki V. And then the Pearl Abyss team working on Crimson Desert. And I believe the core team working on Crimson Desert was like 300 people, I believe. Towards the end of development, it might have gotten higher to like, 350 to 400. But it was during the peak, Starfield with all of their support studios was even larger than the 450 in Maryland, to be clear. Will Shen... GDC. This is it. In this talk, he shows staffing numbers. So like here, this just to give you a better idea. Like this is kind of how it's split up with all of their partner devs. So they crossed like the 500 mark at the peak of Starfield. But as with all games, it kind of changes throughout development. So like early in development, it might be smaller, but then later they'll bring it, Snowed in to help, and Iron Galaxy in to help, and Forged Interactive to help with stuff, GameSim to help with stuff. So it's always kind of hard to pin down exactly what the number is, like, because it's constantly changing. And like, do you count contractors? They're helping build the game, but they're also like not in the core team. It's always kind of tricky to pin down, but yeah, it changes and breathes and shifts constantly. But yes, you're right. Pearl Abyss is big, which is why I was specifically talking about the team that worked on Crimson Desert. You can't say like Take-Two Interactive, they have 15,000 people working on GTA 6. It's like, no, they do have thousands working on it, but you have to look at the team specifically working on the project. They just pay less, so of course they can have a massive game quicker and update frequently. I'm not a Starfield fan, but it's not a fair comparison. Well, they are in different areas. That is true. Reportedly, it is cheaper to produce games in South Korea compared to where BGS is headquartered in Maryland, and then also in like Austin, Texas. They have a branch there. They have a smaller team in Montreal that does like the mobile games. I believe that's all they do there. They have another team in Dallas as well. So BGS is in more expensive places, but I think like when I'm talking about the content they've been able to put out, how quickly they've been able to do it, how efficiently they've been able to work, the cost of that is kind of a secondary issue, because I don't think the consumer really cares at the end of the day how expensive it is or isn't. They care about the product they're getting. Whether it was put together by a team in Singapore or a team in India or a team in Montreal, as long as the product is good and it came fast and affordably, they're happy. I don't think that the average customer of these projects and consumer of these projects cares where it was made, as long as it's good, Brock Dittering, thank you for that. I think they're very similar to EA with their sports games like FIFA. They're super popular, but they use that as a crutch to sell games, as opposed to making the experience immersive for the player. I'm trying to remember who that would have been in reference to. The games are popular. Maybe are you referring to BGS? Is that what you're referring to? Because I think we were talking about that at the time. I think this is true of pretty much every major publisher, is that they will have the big money-making franchises that they can milk and extract a lot of cash from, and then they have the smaller art pieces that are tighter in scope and budget and are not expected to make 30x what they cost to produce. Maybe like 2x, but they're not expected to be home run hitters. They're expected to be a solid single or a solid double. That's kind of what I think. If you think of like Take-Two Interactive, GTA 6 is the home run hitter. like 2K26, whatever, MLB, what, that's not MLB, NBA 2K26, that is a home run hitter. That'll make hundreds of millions, you know, but Mafia, the old country, they're not expecting that to make $1 billion. They're happy if that makes a profit, which it did, you know, but it's because the budget was smaller and they went into it with those expectations. And so I think it just depends on what their expectations are at what, like when they go into it. That's kind of where it changes and shifts. As for BGS, again, we are convinced there's a problem. I don't think they are, because their metrics are really solid, you know? So that's just how it is. When I was specking out my PC, I came across the 13700K. I saw that it was using an older style of socket, so no upgrades. Went with the AM5 and the 9700X. Thank you, Walt the Great, and that's good to hear. Yeah, long-term upgradability can be really, really nice. My wife, her PC is running a 7700K, and so I've got to take the whole thing apart, upgrade the motherboard, CPU, all that stuff. Thankfully, I bought all the parts before the RAM crisis. I've just been dragging my feet doing the upgrade. I need to do it because her CPU is no longer supported within Windows, so she can't upgrade to like Windows 11. So she's starting to have like driver compatibility issues and all sorts of crap. So it's a whole thing. Gavin, thank you for the 5. How far in advance do you know you're getting a review code for a game? What game were you most excited to play early? So it's different, because sometimes you'll be told you're getting a review code and then you don't. Like that's what happened with Dragon Age Veilguard. They said, yeah, you're getting a review code. We're estimating 2 weeks before launch. 2 weeks before launch comes, nothing. A week before launch, we're sending emails. Where is it? Nothing. What? She brings coffee almost every day. No, she doesn't want me to upgrade her PC because she likes it the way it is. I've been trying to convince her it's worth upgrading, and that it'll be better, but she's like, don't touch my computer. I'm like, it'll be better, I promise. She's like, I don't care, it works fine. I'm like, let me help you. But anyway, if you've ever tried to mess with a loved one's computer, you know the experience where they're just like, leave my computer alone. It's like, I backed it up. It will be better, I promise. But anyway, as for this, yeah, we were supposed to get a review code 2 weeks before. We were supposed to get a review code a week before. We never got it. Days go by. They're like, any day now. Still never came. Day before launch, we can't even review the game now because we won't have time to finish it by the time we need to make a video. Like, so we can't, it's not even a review code anymore. They said, yeah, we'll try to get you one at launch. Reviews drop, the game launches. I don't even remember if they did end up sending codes at all. I don't think they did. They might have, don't quote me on that, but I'm not even sure if they ever sent any codes. So like with that, there's cases where they'll tell you you're going to get one and then you don't for one reason or another. There's other times where they'll tell you, yeah, our goal is to get it to you a week before launch, and then it never happens. Or it happens instead of a week before launch, it happens 3 days before launch and you're crunching. So it's a widespread. X is Y killer. I always want to go like Zissy killer. X is Y killer. Thank you for the gifted subs, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate you. They did send some codes to some reviewers. Yeah, for Dragon Age, they did. To be clear, they sent it to a handful of YouTubers. I believe it was like in the English speaking world, it was like Skill Up, Maddie, and Mortismal. A lot of other people were promised codes and we just didn't get them. Nobody's entitled to it, but it was weird. So it was odd. Other times, like there was a game very recently where we were told the goal was to get it to us a month early, and they ended up getting it to us 2 weeks early, which was still a good chunk of time. But it's different, you know. It's different. I think the most reliable group might come as a surprise. The most reliable group when it comes to like review code, delivery, timing, when they say they'll get it to you on Friday, they get it to you Friday or Thursday. Like the most reliable and on it of any company I've ever worked with, I think is Ubisoft. Like they got their crap together when it comes to delivering that type of stuff on time. When they say we'll get you a review code, they get you a review code. As for what game I've been like most excited to review ever, I think it's a good question. I remember being like really, really giddy to get the chance to review God of War Ragnarok early. Like that was a big moment for me, being like, holy shit, wow. Like that was crazy. KCD2, I mean KCD2 is amazing. I was giddy to get to play that early, absolutely. And to their credit, the only reason I say that the ones I know that are really reliable is Ubisoft is because I've done a lot of reviews of Ubisoft games and they always are on it. With Warhorse, I've only ever reviewed one game from them because they've only ever done one game since I started like doing YouTube actively. So I hope they continue to be really, really reliable. They were very reliable. They sent it to us a month early, you know, but I've only ever seen one game or reviewed one game from them before launch. So I would say God of War Ragnarok was like a big moment. The review I was most surprised that I got was Starfield. I think we were all surprised. I think we were all really surprised that we were on that list. Genuinely surprised. But hey, what are you gonna do? I was very pleased by that. I honestly, to this day, I don't know for a fact, but I honestly believe that was like probably a mistake. I don't know that. I don't know that for sure. But dude, there's no way they meant to send it to me. Like, right? Like, there's no way. There's no way. I'd be so surprised. To this day, I'm still in like kind of disbelief that it happened. So I'm like, I think somebody on marketing was like, who, Luke? Yeah, send him a code, whatever. And then Todd was like, you sent him a code? I think there might have been some frustration. But yeah, I'm still very thankful. To their credit, you know, they sent the code and were willing to engage. They have not been willing to engage since then. And there are a good number of publishers, and this again, like, I know it doesn't fit the narrative always, but there are studios and publishers that like will put you on a list if they seem, or if they consider to you, if they consider you to be high risk, or if they consider you to be overly critical, or if they consider you to be like not a friend of the brand, you know, where all of a sudden they stop responding to emails when you put out a video critiquing something that they did, or being calling out a managerial issue, or being like this game is bad. There are studios that will put you on a list and not interact with you anymore. But the company that, even when you say that all of their executive team should be fired and that the family that founded the company should all lose their jobs and be replaced by other people, even when you say that, to their credit, Ubisoft will still engage with you. Like, I have openly called for the resignation and replacement of the Guillemot family and like the people that founded the company and all that. They will still interact with me and talk with me, and like everybody at Ubisoft that I've ever interacted with is like, yeah. I think it's because a lot of the employees probably agree, but I allegedly, but I mean, they deserve credit because there's a lot of other companies that will be much more petty for way less, which is pretty insane. But what are you gonna do? Let's see. Let's see. Forged Horizons, thank you for that 39 months. My goodness, at the show off tier too. Whoops, I scrolled too far. Luke, every time you do a Star Citizen video, usually, I read that one earlier. But yes, as I said earlier, I do want to do a collab and show like high level late game gameplay within Star Citizen, it is on the docket to do. I think we'll probably get to it this summer because I want to be able to spend a couple days really delving into it. Leo, thank you for that one. Follow up liquid cooling and regular fans. I'm confused on what I should be getting or if one is better than the other. All-in-one liquid coolers work great. Like totally fine. And for most modern CPUs, they'll work great. Personally, this is just me. I would not mess with custom cooling loops. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to mess with it. Too risky. Is he ever going to talk about Persona? Oh my God, you're right. Hold on. Let me do that real quick. I got a little sidetracked. Stop giving me money. Stop it. Stop that. Stop. Okay. Rumor from Ecstasis. This is a well-known leaker who has got a pretty solid track record, honestly. Put this out about Persona 6. So, quote, Persona 6's development is practically finished, but you won't be playing it anytime soon. A new leak from Asian forums, Zhao Hongshu, I think, I feel like I did a good job there. I don't know. I feel like I pronounced that pretty good. Not to like pat myself on the back, but I feel like I did a pretty good job. Just saying. He says a quote from that forum has just revealed that Atlas's what Atlas's internal plans are.
$19.99
Thank you.
Through Super Chat. Don't tell me what to do.
Oh, I will. Cancel me. I don't care. Cancel me. I don't care. Do whatever you want. Appreciate you, my friend. That's very, very generous. Thank you so much. Thank you. The 3 key pieces of information from the leak. Number 1, status. The game is at the feature complete stage, practically finished. Release, internally delayed until 2027. Honestly, okay. Honestly, not that far. It's not that far. Metaphor ReFantazio just came out 2024. So like that's not that far. Okay. The designs for both protagonists have been confirmed. Okay. 2 protagonists. The female protagonist will have black and red hair. The male protagonist will be blonde. With that release window, it wouldn't be surprising if it were shown for the first time at the Xbox Showcase or the Game Awards / Summer Games Fest. To provide context for the source, the network has been the epicenter of accurate leaks from Sega and Atlas in the past due to their outsourcing of art and testing in Asia. The fact that they already know the hair colors indicates the promotional art is already circulating internally. Honestly, in terms of timeline, I think it lines up well enough. My personal hope for Persona 6 is that like I'm saying this as somebody with love, okay? With love. Persona 5 and Metaphor, because it's like branched off the same tools. It was built originally for the PS3. Like it is an old piece of tech. And for the particular type of game they're making, it's fine. It gets the job done. But like as you can see, release windows, PS3, it launched on PlayStation 3 back on September 15th, 2016, worldwide April 4th, 2017. Like it was built originally for the PlayStation 3, running on the PlayStation 3. And as a result, like it's broken up with a ton of load screens. There's only so much they can do in terms of the scale of the environments. Everything has to be broken up into rooms. So you run from this room to the next room, and there's really smooth and very nicely art directed transitions between those rooms. But I would love to see what a Persona game looks like built for even the PS4. But I mean, if they could go and like build it for PS5 level hardware, I'd be so into that, dude. I'd be so into that. That'd be so great. I'd be so interested in what that would look like and run like. Thankfully, again, the types of games that Persona makes are like tailor-made for the engine and for what they have in terms of tech. So it gets the job done. You know, it makes it also really scalable. So you can play it on handhelds, no problem, which is like a great way to play these games. But I've always wondered what a Persona game would look like if you could crank the dials up in terms of firepower, in terms of hardware, and then just let the art style go crazy as a result. But time will tell. As for when we see this, I mean, they could show it off in the summer. I'm curious if they do a Japanese release for a few months before they launch it everywhere else. I don't think they'll do that anymore. I think that was more of just an artifact of its time back with Persona 5. Because I don't think they did that with Metaphor, did they? I don't think they did. Metaphor. Refantasio. Yeah, it just launched everywhere on the same platform. So if they were to launch it worldwide all at the same time, that would be fire. Early 2027, I think would be great. Personally, I don't think they have that much to worry about when it comes to like GTA 6 because it's different enough that I don't think there's a lot of overlap, but their games are also massive. So like Persona is one of those games where when you decide to play it, you got to commit because for a month, that's what you're playing. And so if they can thread the needle and launch in like a dead zone for other games, that's where it'll be peak. Maybe like a January or even like a maybe March to April or a July, you know, when that's usually slow. That could be really, really good. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what they do. But I would love to see more. That'd be awesome. Expedition 33, but Persona. Well, I mean, I think Expedition 33 is a good example of what like turn-based combat can look like when you kind of push the technical boundary in terms of like the framing of it. It still had its own share of technical restrictions and problems for sure, but it was, I think that's what you could do in terms of presentation. If you have strong art direction and a lot of firepower in terms of hardware, you can do some really, really cool stuff, but you got to have that really strong art direction. And thankfully they do. So I'm just curious what that looks like. Like what does a Persona game look like? Really cranking the dials, you know? I'm so intrigued. But yeah, according to the leak, marketing materials are probably going around internally right now, which means it's possible that they leak soon enough. But also it means the game is in the polishing phase and the refinement phase, which, if that's to be believed, would put it on track to probably launch early next year, which would be amazing. Amazing. Tell you what. Oh, man. That'd be great. Luke, what can I expect from 007 First Light performance on the Series X? I don't know. I did not test it earlier, or I did not test myself on the Series X, so I'm not sure. But as far as I know, the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 and the PS5 Pro have they have performance and quality modes, so 30 FPS and 60 FPS modes, I believe. So it should run solidly enough. Sinist, thank you. 25 months. That's crazy. Can I get 25 booms for 25 months? Yes, you can. Hold on. Can I just get it? Somebody didn't know what we were memeing on with the booms. Okay. Somebody didn't know what we were memeing on. This is what we're referencing, and then I'll do the booms.
Oh, we're so sorry to hear about your brother that passed away. He gets 5 big booms. Boom! 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 Boom!
So sorry to hear about your brother that died. Anyway, here's 5 booms. Boom, 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 boom. I don't know how many that was. Hopefully 25. I lost track. I got into a rhythm. No way, that's real. Yeah, it's from one of their lives. Or I don't know if it's a live. It might be a cameo. It looks kind of like a cameo.
Oh, we're so sorry to hear about your brother that passed away. He gets 5 big booms. Boom! 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 Boom!
I just always gotta wonder, these guys that get like pretty famous based off of like a meme, like I think I would lose my mind if if like that's what I was known for the rest of my life. You know, I think I'd lose my mind. But I mean, they're making the most of it. They went on Jimmy Fallon, dude. Like they I think they're doing fine, but I don't know. That's 25. Boom, 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 boom. Boom. Thank you for 25 months, my friend. Thank you for that. Very, very generous. Glad to have you, my friend. When is Luke going on Jimmy Fallon? If I went on Jimmy Fallon, I would just get into a laughing at things that aren't really funny fight against Jimmy. So we would just say something that isn't that funny, but then we would have to pretend like it was really funny. And then we would just keep laughing back and forth. And that would be the whole segment. Says the candle guy. You expect that to hurt my feelings? I am a proud candle man, like my daddy and his daddy fo him. Come from a long line of candle sniffers and sippers. How dare you suggest that we're ashamed of it? How dare you? Light up. Dude. I'm just like... Hold on, guys. Thanks for coming to the stream. Just got to light up real quick. Got to get the good stuff. I just, you know, when you do a long stream, you just need a little pick-me-up. Got to light up. Oh, yeah. That's the shit. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. That's good. Woo. Feeling good. Oh, that's good. It's okay. You know, I knew relapsing there's a chance of it, but worth it. Let's see. Luke, you're just awesome. Oh, thank you, my friend. Your hopes for a PlayStation State of Play. My hope is that we see Corey's game, Intergalactic, and if I'm going to go out on a limb, I guess, honestly, I want to hear everybody in chat's prediction. Don't drink it now. I would never, Katie. I would never. I want to hear your predictions. 3 games that you want to see at the State of Play. Put them in chat, because one of you guys is going to say something that I'm going to be like, oh, duh. On Destiny 3? Oh, God. Who's going to tell him? My hopes, again, Corey's game. I think Wolverine's a given, so whatever. I think it's confirmed. They've already said it's going to be there. So I think Corey's game, big surprise. Intergalactic, that'd be a big surprise. And I think for me, the one that I think is likely that we could see is the sequel to Hogwarts Legacy. The single player sequel. I don't know if they'll show the multiplayer like MMO at the same time or not. They might. I don't know. But I think there's that. Phantom Blade Zero, I would love to see it. I know the team is very, very hard at work on the game right now. I don't know if it's going to be ready to show or if they're going to show that at Summer Games Fest. I'm not sure. Maybe they've said and I missed it, but I'm not sure what their plan is. But I do think we'll see Phantom Blade soon, for sure. Uncharted 5, there is a chance, but I think that they will prioritize Intergalactic first. You know, like they need that to crush. And so I think that's the focus. Tides of Annihilation, dude, that would be fire. But I get the feeling Tides of Annihilation is more like 2027 to 2028 game. So I think Tides of Annihilation, probably Game Awards would be my guess. It's kind of what I'm expecting. Yeah. Infamous something, that would be really cool. Rise of Hydra, that would be cool if they actually had that. Yeah, that would be really cool. Concord Classic server. Dude, that would unironically, I think, blow up day one. Like, it's such a meme now that I do think that a Concord relaunch wouldn't do terribly. I think it would be like Morpheus, you know, or Morbius. That's what it is. Morbius, where like they re-release it. I think it'd actually probably do pretty good. Like, especially if they did it as like a super limited time thing. They're like, we're bringing it back for 5 days only. I think it'd probably do decent. Like, I don't know if they'd make money or a profit on it, because I don't think people would buy it. I think if you did it as like a free thing, then it might do okay. But just for the memes, I think it would do well enough. It's Concord time. Concordan time. Yeah. Duskbloods. Duskbloods, or is it Ducksbloods? I want to see Duckblood. Ducksblood. That sounds like quite the game. Duskbloods is going to be at Nintendo's Treehouse, whatever they call it, like whenever that's ready. Because it's supposedly coming out this year at some point. Knowing Nintendo's chutzpah, I wouldn't be surprised if they think they can go head to head with GTA 6 with that, which would be stupid. Because, like, yes, From Software is massive. They're a big deal. I underestimated them with Night Rain, so I don't want to do that again. But honest question, chat. Honest question. If the Duskbloods, which again is, in case people don't know, because I didn't realize, a lot of people had spaced it and forgotten that this was happening. This is the From Software Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive multiplayer game coming from Hidetaka Miyazaki at From Software. If this goes head to head with GTA 6 as a Switch 2 exclusive, where GTA 6 will not be, does it still do really, really well? My only fear with that launching within a few weeks, even before or after, my fear would just be that there's going to be, I don't know. You're going to get blown out in the algorithm, like on all social media. But maybe they don't think that's a big deal because the people who will be playing this are not playing GTA 6. Because if they're on the Switch, they're over there, and like how many FromSoft hardcore fans who would be a hardcore enough fan to go buy a Switch 2 for this game, how many of them are going to be playing GTA 6? Like, I don't know. It's two different groups. That's why I'm like, it honestly, it could do okay even still. I just think it's an unforced error if they do that. I think if they launch this in like October, a few weeks before, GTA 6, I think that does fine. But if they're planning to launch in November, I think that's just a mistake. Because the more like jack of all trades, content creators, streamers and stuff, I think they're going to be covering GTA 6. They're not going to be jumping on this. But who knows? Never underestimate. I never want to underestimate From Software. Because I thought Night Rain would not have as big of a splash as it did among the community. But this is another multiplayer game. The big question mark with it is just Switch 2 exclusive. Like, to play this, you will need to buy a Switch 2 and you will need to pay for the Nintendo Online subscription. And that's a steep deal, man. Like, that's just tough. That's a tough sell. I've always thought this shot was super goofy too. I'm sorry. Normally FromSoft stuff is like really, really epic and cinematic. This just looks really stupid to me. I'm sorry. I don't know why this one shot I've always just thought looked so dorky. It's just locked camera with a slight sideways movement, and then this guy just goes flying by. I don't know, man. It's just funny. Pirate's going to work overtime? Yeah. Well, I'm sure Nintendo's thought about that, which is why they're tying it to the Nintendo Online, whatever. But anyway, yeah, I'm thoroughly interested in this. We'll see. But so far, I've not seen the same level of interest in this, in Duskbloods, as I've seen for other FromSoft stuff. I mean, even like you can see down here, the IGN interview with Hidetaka Miyazaki talking about the game right after it was announced, they got 55,000 views on it. Like, that is, I would expect that to do way better. So it's just surprising. But anyway, we'll see. Where do we want to start? Stuffalo Bill. Sorry, I still can't get over it. Would he put on a little weight, a little extra stuffing? Stuffalo Bill. Let's see. AC Hexay, that's not till next year. Sorry, not sorry. I think it's probably not till late next year. Because honestly, if you're launching, I think the leaks were saying it was slated for like middle of next year or maybe like April, May of next year. My understanding is it's spoopy. If it's a spooky game, launch it in October. Like, make it a Halloween game. Why not? You know, it's like launching a Christmas movie in July. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? You know? Let's see. Godsmack, thank you for that 5. Hey, Luke, just wondering if you'll be reviewing Gothic Remake or Fate Keeper. As for whether I'm reviewing it, remains to be seen because there's still a lot of moving parts. Gothic Remake specifically, really, like, I'm going to play it. But if you're asking about like a day one review, the tricky thing is that it launches June 5th. I will be traveling for Summer Games Fest around that time, which makes it really, really tough because it's like you have to finish the game and then my whole team is going to be traveling. So like we'd have to have the video edited, ready to go before, because the review embargo probably lifts on the 4th. I don't think they've said yet when it does. So it's just tricky in terms of logistics. Not impossible, but tricky. So we will see. If they get the code to us like 3 weeks beforehand, then we can do it, I'm sure. But if it's like, yeah, here's the code 3 days beforehand, I don't think it's going to work. Okay, I'm almost caught up and then we'll shift forward. Let's see. Mickey Caspar, thank you for that too. We did talk about the state of play. Yeah, I think if we saw Intergalactic, Corey's game, and Hogwarts Legacy something, I'd be a happy camper. 2 of those things, I'd be really happy. 1 of those things, I'd still be happy. If they knock all 3 out, I'll be thrilled. Gavin, thank you for that one. How far in advance do you know you're getting a review copy? Oh, we did talk about that one. Tired Foxy, thank you for that 5. Hey, Luke, do you think OD will be at the Summer Kojima Fest? We know he's working on 2 games now. Yeah, but I also think what is tricky is that OD, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe one of the actors passed away. And I think that complicates things because he was going to have a pretty major role in the story. So I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work. We'll just have to see. We'll have to see. But maybe something, a little teaser, you know. Keep an eye on Kojima's social media feeds. He tends to tweet out pictures of him editing stuff before he, like if he's going to show something, he'll show like working on the trailer, editing all night tonight. He'll post something like that. Am I just making that up, or like I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was this Hideo Kojima pays tribute after OD actor Udo Kier dies at 81. This was back in November, and he was in one of the big trailers for it. So I think this might complicate things because either they have to reshoot stuff or tweak stuff. So I'm just not totally sure what the plan would be. It's always tragic when an actor passes away like that before they get to like see the finished product. But yeah, unfortunately that did happen. Whoops, scroll too far. Mr. Rage, thank you for the 10. Hey Luke, have you seen or heard Terminal War indie multiplayer Last of Us like title? Also, I'm the saddest guardian in your chat. I'm one of the Destiny players that had been there the whole time. Love you, Luke. I am so sorry for your loss, my friend. I am so sorry. I know it's like we meme on Destiny, we meme on Bungie and everything. It has got to be really tough to see, because basically what you guys experienced was a game that you loved and engaged with for years and years and years. You put thousands of hours into it, and then you saw it starting to get mistreated and neglected for years. And it just slowly, every once in a while, there's a glint of hope, and you're like, oh, maybe. And then it started to tail off. And then they just walk away. You know, it's like someone that you cared about that's been put on life support for years, and then just casually one day they're like, yeah, we're pulling the plug. We'll just let nature take its course. It's just sad to see. It's sad to see. It's too bad. I mean, I think everybody knew that the day was coming. A lot of people were hoping that it would come with an announcement of Destiny 3, which hasn't really happened. But yeah, I do feel for you guys that poured your time and resources into that, and then it just kind of floundered. because they mismanaged it. As for Terminal War, I have not heard of that, but I will pull it up in another tab and look it up. Thank you for the suggestion, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate you. Replaying Red Dead Redemption 2 says, Ocean, I think GTA 6 will be life-changing. I think it will change the standard and expectation for pretty much every game that comes after it, just like Red Dead 2 did. And you guys better be ready for all of the incessant, constant comparison videos that come out for 10 years after the fact, where everybody's going to be comparing everything to GTA 6, where it's like, well, yeah, your game is pretty solid, but I put on weight after eating a chocolate bar in GTA 6, and I can't do that in your game, so sucks. So just be ready. Just be ready. There's going to be a lot of those. It's going to be pretty annoying, I think. Just being honest. Just being honest. Thank you again, Mr. H, for the very generous 20 as well. Graves, thank you for that 10. Thoughts on Bungie stopping live service updates for Destiny 2, potential developer layoffs, and what does this mean for Bungie moving forward? Also, there's a petition for Destiny 3 with 200,000 signatures. I think it's just, Bungie is a prime example of what happens when there is a lot of mismanagement for years upon years upon years. And this is just unfortunately where you end up at the end of all of that. It's stupid and it shouldn't have happened, but this is where we are. It also is clear that they could have done Destiny 3 and had that in the pipeline already, but they didn't. There's no other way to conclude that that's just mismanagement. Like, it's just a massive missed opportunity. Marathon is solid. It's a solid game. My brother is super into it. Like, it's a good game. There are people that love it, but it is a niche game. It was never going to sustain Bungie. It was never going to justify a $3.7 billion acquisition. The fact that they thought it would, again, shows mismanagement and even to a certain extent delusion. I told you guys before, when I was at the studio, people at Bungie were saying that extraction shooters like Marathon were going to be the next big thing. Specifically in the context of what they were saying, it was going to be the next big thing on the level of like battle royales. They thought that Marathon and games like it could become the next like Fortnite or Warzone, which I thought was crazy. But there were streamers there that were like, no, absolutely, totally agree. Ended up not being the case. I think demonstrably so. Like, Arc Raiders did well, but even Arc Raiders is not on the level of Fortnite. It's not on the level of Warzone, you know? Like, that is a stratosphere above. It is in space orbiting, and you did a really solid commercial flight, you know, but you're nowhere near up there. That's how much money they're making. And so I think it's just a tale as old as time of business leaders that were huffing their own copium, believing their own lies, and the delusion just spun until now reality kind of caught up with them, and the only way out of it is to lay people off, restructure, regroup, and figure out what the hell they're going to do. But I don't see a way out of it that does not end with massive layoffs and restructurings, unfortunately. So, you know, what are you going to do there? Want to bet those streamers don't even play Marathon? Yeah, well, it's because the audience isn't there. Like, ultimately, a really good streamer can bring eyeballs to a game and make a game elevate, like, from a 9 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10 overall experience. And I think that's what Peanut did. Like, Peanut, very, very good streamer and a lifeline for Arc Raiders, especially among the casual audience. Nobody should underestimate his impact or how valuable he was to Embark and to that game. But you can't make a Peanut. You can't make burnt peanut. No matter how hard you try, you won't. That happens organically. It's unpredictable, but it happens. And I think in the modern day, you just need to be really, really lucky, and you need your game to be really, really good. And you also need players to happen to have free time and not a lot of other games coming out around the same time. Like, you need a lot of stuff to work in your favor. And unfortunately, a lot of that comes down to luck and timing and everything. Jinxie with Rainbow Six. Yeah, Jinxie basically saved Rainbow Six from what I'm to understand. You need somebody on that level who can blow it up. Like Ninja with Fortnite was another, example of a streamer that just went into the stratosphere with that game. So yeah. What about, organic peanuts? Yeah. It's not like peanuts grow on trees. Exactly. They grow in the ground. and grow in the ground. Dude, before I get into this, I'm going to do an actual segment here in a second because, my God, I've been distracted a lot today. Does anybody else remember the good old days of Texas Roadhouse when they would put peanuts on the tables and you would eat them and then just throw and discard the shells on the ground? Dude, those were the days. Roadhouse. If you're from Europe, you're like, what? Peanuts. I'm not joking. Roadhouse. COVID took away so many great things from us, like our friends and family, but also this. Dude, back in the day, Texas Roadhouse, one of the best restaurants on God's green earth, they would put these little, like, they had these barrels of peanuts, salted peanuts, and you would like scoop them, bring them to your table, or they'd have them in little buckets on your table, and you could crack them open, and then you would just eat the peanuts while you're waiting for your food and toss the shells on the floor, and then they'd come through and like sweep it up at the end of the night, and it just made it feel like a barnyard cookout, you know? It was awesome. And then COVID took it away. Now they don't do it anymore. Their floors are clean and sanitary, and man, it just is, what a waste of potential. Those were the days. This is why I know I'm starting to feel like a boomer, because I'm like, back in my day we had peanuts at Texas Roadhouse and it was great. And then all these youngins, these Gen Zoomers, are looking at me like, sure, Grandpa, sure. Okay. Whatever. Peanut allergy users rip. I mean, it was not a place for you to go if you had a peanut allergy. I will give you that. It was not. Anyway, yeah, if you've never experienced that, you're missing out. It was awesome. But no more. Okay, Luke telling his kids about the good old days. Yeah, back when you could eat peanuts. Aren't you a Zoomer? I don't. Hold on. Generation years, I guess. I am. Oh, called out. According to this, I was born 97. According to this, I am technically Gen Z. But I'm married to a millennial. I'm an elder Z. Yeah, there you go. Okay, all these Gen Alphas. There, I can do that. That's allowed. I can do that. Oh, called out, man. Oh, caught red-handed in the Gen Z cookie jar. You're an imposter. Oh, God. Oh, I'm going to have a mental breakdown later and just be like, oh, boy, here we go. You're the ancient Gen Z. Yeah, I'm one of the founders. I'm one of the founding members of Gen Z. I thought Luke was in his 40s. If I shave the beard, I look like I'm 12. Don't worry. I may be an OG Gen Z, but I feel like a boomer. I'll tell you what. I feel it. I identify as a boomer. Okay. Let's finally talk about what was on my agenda for today. How old am I now? I am 28 at this moment in time. You look 23? Someone gift that guy a membership right now. Gift that guy a membership. Look at you. I like this guy. I have like a hair. One of my wife's hairs. Gross. Sitting on my neck. That's gross. I have cooties now. Cooties. They are real. It's scientific. Yeah. You, Luke, are young for your age, honestly. I think you meant you look young for your age, but the idea that you send a message that's You're young for your age is really funny to me. You're tall for your height. You're skinny for your weight. You know, it's just funny. It's a funny thing to say. Anyway, let's do this. Kingdom Man Sky, thank you real quick. Did you finish Replace? Loved it. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Dull. Yeah, Replaced is awesome. I am I think close to the end. I've got it on my Legion Go too. It's one of my bedtime games, which maybe that's not super healthy, but I like to play games right before bed. But hey, what else is a handheld for? You know, what else is it for? So I have a list of games I kind of rotate through as my bedtime games, and Replace is like really, really good. I almost said Returnal. Replace is really, really good. I highly recommend it. The other one I've been playing as a bedtime game is Lego Batman, and that also is really, really good. Okay. Let's do this, and then I will continue catching up, okay? I appreciate you guys. How happy are you with the Fold 7? Fold 8 looks fire. I really like it. Do recommend it. Fold 7. It's very good. Very good. Fold 8, I haven't seen a ton on it. I've seen some like light leaks, but yeah, I'm probably going to upgrade when the time comes. Folding phones, unfortunately, are one of those, if you want any solid trade-in value, you kind of have to do it annually. Otherwise, they just crucify you. Okay. New segment. About Bethesda and the timelines of games that are not coming for a while because they announced them way too early and they're not ready to launch, even though they were announced a long time ago. At this point, seriously, Elder Scrolls 6 was announced in 2018, which is 8 years ago, and it looks like it's still several years away. Oh. Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop. Okay. Brand new article coming from Game Rant. Bethesda leaker gives updates on Fallout remasters and Elder Scrolls 6. Real quick in chat, I want to know your predictions for timelines. When do you think Elder Scrolls 6 is launching? I just want a year. Put the year in chat. It'll fill in whether you're on Twitch or YouTube. I need to know what you predict here so that we can judge you when you're right or wrong when it eventually does launch or is confirmed. I have said for a long time, while you guys are putting that in there, canceled, how dare you? I think it's likely that this is like a 2028 to 2029 game. That's been my prediction for a long time. Bear in mind, there were people saying very recently they expected this to launch as early as this year. There was a couple people saying they thought it would launch last year, which was patently insane. But I've always said I think that this is probably 28 to 29. I think it takes them 5 to 6 years. 6 in order to finish it after Starfield, because what we've seen is that Bethesda's efficiency has dropped, not increased. They don't work faster today than they worked 10 years ago. So why would you think they could magically finish Elder Scrolls 6 3 years after Starfield or 4 years after Starfield? If anything, I think they are taking way longer between releases because their efficiency has plummeted through the floor. And so that's been my prediction for a long time. This, though, is an article looking at some discussions specifically from Jez Corden on the Xbox XB2, I guess, podcast. We've looked at some of these podcast clips before, and it tends to always have some interesting insights and tidbits. As always with this stuff, take it with a grain of salt, but I think you'll see that none of this is particularly shocking or novel as far as claims are concerned. It all seems pretty much in line with what you would expect. They specifically call out a segment at 2:02:13, so let's see what that looks like and listen to the snippet from Jez.
Here soon. You want to capitalize on the success of the TV show. That
Oh,
seems
God,
like
yeah.
a big mistake.
I've heard that, like, I don't know how true this is, but one thing I heard was that Fallout remasters are probably a little bit further off than people think, and that Elder Scrolls 6 is still quite far away. So I suppose like getting some of those games out more quickly is probably something they're probably very.
I mean, what is
thinking
top of
still
mind
for them?
I guess I wasn't expecting Fallout remakes until next year or at the earliest, but I mean,
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah, 20.
To be clear, there are 2 Fallout remaster remakes, whatever you want to call them, expected to come in the next few years. There is a Fallout 3 remaster remake, whatever it is, that is expected to come first. And then there recently has been discussions of a Fallout New Vegas remaster remake, what have you, that is expected to come after the fact, probably after Elder Scrolls 6, because it sounds like it was greenlit in the last 12 months, which is crazy. But I think what is likely to happen is that Fallout 3 remaster remake comes at some point next year for season 3 of the show, around that time. And then I think New Vegas doesn't drop until much, much later, potentially even after the show has finished. And in terms of rough timelines, I mean, that would put it probably 2029 to 2030 for Fallout New Vegas remake remaster, which would have given them like 4 years to put it together, which I don't think is that crazy.
27 maybe for Fallout remake, or at least one of them, and then probably the year after or the year after that for Elder Scrolls. I mean,
yeah.
This is one of the big
2028.
challenges. Yeah, this is one of the big challenges of the gaming industry is how do you sort of improve efficiency, because they're like China's coming.
I feel like you should just leave it there because China's coming. Without a doubt, efficiency in the industry has plummeted broadly, it seems. At least it feels that way. Like whether like individual tasks are taking longer or shorter, it feels to the consumer like games are taking way longer to make. They're showing up a day late and $1 short, often still having like technical issues and performance issues, which just feels bad, man. I mean, there's plenty of examples of games that launch and run really well. So it's important to not just focus on the negative, which happens a lot, shocker, in online discourse. There's still plenty of examples of games that have launched and are super polished. Even this year alone, we've seen games like 007 First Light. Lego Batman actually ran way better than I was expecting, and I think most people were expecting, especially given the tech specs that they put out there. Saros ran really, really well and was super optimized and polished. Even Crimson Desert, it started kind of rough, and within like a week or two, they'd fixed pretty much every problem people had with the game. Like, there's plenty of examples of games that launch and run like crap, but there's also examples on the flip side of games that are polished and run well. That's all I'm saying. So don't just focus on the negative. But I think it is fair to say that games are taking longer than they used to. We used to get, like, take Naughty Dog, for example. In the PS4 gen, we got like the remake of The Last of Us to start it off in like 2014, which was like tons of work. They basically rebuilt it from the ground up. Then we got Uncharted 4 in 2016. Then we got The Last of Us Part 2 in 2020, just 4 years later. Since The Last of Us Part 2, they've done some free updates, some remasters and stuff. Nothing like super massive, it seemed. And that's it. It's been 6 years. It looks like Intergalactic is maybe next year. 7 years later. From Santa Monica, we have gotten of course, God of War game with Ragnarok back in 22, I believe Ragnarok was. And that was amazing. That game is phenomenal. Absolutely. But they've also been quiet for 4 years. They probably have Corey's game ready to go next year, but that would put it at 5 years between projects. And so, like, we're looking at all these big studios from first party devs, and they're taking a long time. Ubisoft has delayed pretty much everything imaginable. If you look at other studios like Take-Two, their timelines also have slowed a lot. Granted, they're working on some big stuff. They're working on like GTA 6. So if any game could justify needing 8 years to put together, it's probably GTA 6. Even if you say, hey, they only needed 5 years for Red Dead Redemption 2, I think GTA 5 or GTA 6 probably can get away with demanding more time. You know, I'm not throwing a fit over that. But the reason I bring this up is because it feels like games are taking way longer to put together. And they got to figure that out, because South Korean studios, Japanese studios, Chinese studios, they are working way more efficiently, way faster. They have bigger teams. And yes, there's many reasons for that. They can pay them less a lot of the time. There also is not this anti-crunch culture that's really prevalent in the West and in like Europe, for example. So like, imagine this. If you can get your employees to work 80 hours while paying them for 40, you can get a lot more done. Imagine that. And that's kind of been the secret sauce, it seems like, with a lot of these studios, where if you're in Montreal, if you're in Paris, there's all sorts of extra things you have to deal with, whether it be work from home mandates or family leave stuff, you know, things that give you quality of life improvements, the work-life balance and stuff like that. Do you think like some of these Chinese developers give a crap about work-life balance? Like, I don't think so. Okay. I think if you went to one of these studios in like the heart of China, who is like, they're super hungry, they're working on cranking out some behemoth of a game to take on Western companies, and you go in there like, yeah, can I work from home 3 days a week? And can I also have some paid paternity leave for like 3 months? I think they just chuck you out the window. Like, I don't think they'll even tolerate that. I don't think they're going to engage with you that much. Like, that goes against the company culture of like, we're here to work our asses off. We're not here for whatever you're talking about. You know, you want to not work? Leave. You know, I don't think they care. And that creates a really big challenge when their work is starting to catch up in terms of quality with the Western studios that are bound and limited in these ways. And we've seen this already start to take place at big companies. For example, EA did a bunch of layoffs, as we all recall. EA laid off hundreds and hundreds of people. They restructured a bunch of stuff. But their headcount in their recent filings showed that they had actually grown significantly since their last round of layoffs. How is that possible? You lay people off to decrease your headcount. Why is your headcount going back up after laying all those people off? Well, guess where the jobs went? They hired a bunch of people in India, a bunch of devs in countries overseas, where work is a lot cheaper. So they fire the people in San Francisco, they fire the people in Seattle, they fire the people in Montreal, and they just go hire a lot of the very talented people over in India or in some of the other teams around either the Middle East or in Eastern Asia, because it's way cheaper, and those people are also amazingly talented over there. You know, it's just, you can't really compete when you have to pay this guy over here $150,000 a year, and he wants to work from home 3 days a week, and he needs to be given like healthcare, and he needs to be given paternity leave or like whatever extra benefits. But then you can go over here and pay this guy $10,000 a year. You don't worry about any benefits. Imagine that. And he'll do great work. Even if he does 90% of what this guy did, just hire a second guy. You're still way ahead of where you would have been if you kept this guy. Now, let me be clear. I don't like that. Okay. I wish that weren't the case. I wish we'd be able to hire everybody. Everybody got, a generous wage. Everyone had health care. Everybody had this. If I was the God King of gaming and I could wave my magic controller wand, I would make that happen. That's not the reality we live in, okay? Like, unfortunately, if a company is trying to decide where to hire people, they're going to go to the people that are a tenth the cost, that are also doing great work, and just give them the job. Because why wouldn't they? Like, I think Rockstar for GTA 6 has something like 1,700 employees in India, specifically. 1,700 employees. And they're doing, like, animation work. Yeah, Luke, the God King of Gaming. I'm saying, if I were God King of Gaming, I would make things different. But it just is what it is, you know? Like, what are we to do? Are you going to boycott games that use international labor? Is that what you want to do? Do you want like made in America as a sticker on the box so you only buy games made in America? You can do that if you want. A lot of game development is international, so you're going to probably not be playing a lot of games. But there's not really a clean solution. And I think the average gamer, let's be honest, doesn't probably care enough to look into it. I think the average gamer is like, yeah, but is it fun? And is it is it as expensive? Okay, well, cool. I'll just buy that, you know? That doesn't sound as bad as you're framing it. Well, no, to be clear, like this is a tale as old as time, that labor tends to move out of countries and markets that are expensive and move to cheaper markets. Shocker, right? Like outsourcing of labor has been a thing since globalization started to become a big push in the last handful of decades. And it happened in the mid 2000s with software engineers being let go from Microsoft and being hired overseas and replaced with people overseas. My dad worked as a project manager with Microsoft and a lot of other tech companies. And so he went from managing like a team in Texas until that whole team was laid off and they hired a bunch of people over in India. And now he's managing a team in India. He's in the US supervising their work, but they're all based in India. And that's just happened time and time again. And now it's also happening a lot in game development. One of the theories for a long time was that the studio, when the game was being made by like 200 or 300 people in the studio, if the talent was in San Francisco, you needed your studio in San Francisco. If it was in Montreal, you needed your team in Montreal and the company in Montreal, because that's where the talent was. Now with like remote work, with cloud development, which is something that all of these companies have invested heavily in, where you can have a team in India working on the same stuff that you're doing in the States, and it shares all of the progress back and forth. It makes it way easier to just expand internationally. And then you can get a lot more work done for a lot cheaper. And that's what a lot of these companies have started to do. And that's why some companies are able to increase efficiency and lower costs, while others that are doing it in a more traditional way are struggling to be like really competitive. Luke can actually say my dad worked at Microsoft. He did work at Microsoft, but he was as far as I understand it, he was a consultant. So I don't know if he ever I don't think he ever had a Microsoft employee badge. He was like project manager consultant that was hired by Microsoft on a contract to manage projects for him or for them. And then he would get a new contract to run this next project. And so I don't think he was ever on like Microsoft's payroll. He was always like contracted to be a project manager as a consultant, if that makes sense. But anyway, all of this to say, the meme of China's coming sounds hysterical, sure, at first, but it actually is a very, very real thing that's happening in the industry, and it's going to happen more and more. You think Black Myth Wukong was the only one? No, baby. There's a lot more things like that are coming. And I guarantee you, in the next 5 years, a lot of the games we're talking about at like Game of the Year considerations and stuff, a lot of Chinese studios you've never heard of today are going to be in the running for those conversations. Same with Korean studios, Japanese studios, because that's where the money is flowing. There were the stories after Black Myth Wukong where like S-Game, the guys making Phantom Blade Zero, were approached with like metaphorical buckets of money, because all of these investors around China saw how big Black Myth Wukong was. We're like, hey, we want to get in on this video game stuff. Let's just throw money at you. Let's just go crazy. And I think that is what they are going to, we're going to see the benefits of that in like 4 years when those games are finishing up. So absolutely. I think this is a very real thing to keep an eye on.
AAA Chinese games are coming at a rapid clip, and increasingly looks like Western devs are having issues keeping up with that, you know, especially with regards to like mobile and the Genshin. And, you know, there was an interview today actually with, his name, Aaron Keller, the lead developer of Overwatch. And they said he pretty much said in the interview they were intimidated by the rapid pace of development for Marvel Rivals. How much content and how many modes they were able to pack in that game in such a very short space of time compared to like what Blizzard and the traditional Western devs seem to be capable of.
I also, maybe this isn't that popular of a thing to say. I'm just going to keep it real. Okay. Cancel me. I don't care. I think there was a good amount of complacency within a lot of Western devs. When there's not competition, I think there's a lot of it's good enough that goes on. And I think like Overwatch is a phenomenal example of that, where let's just be honest, they could have been trying a lot more or a lot harder, because the moment that they saw Marvel Rivals come in and give them like a big run for their money, there was panic, and they actually overhauled a ton of stuff with Overwatch because all of a sudden they had to try. And I think that that's more of what happened or started happening within some of these really big studios, whether it's Activision. I think Bungie, honestly, is another example of it. I think Bungie is an example where they were like, hey, Destiny 2 is making money right now, so let's just kind of twiddle our thumbs and we'll get Marathon out eventually and whatever. Like, I think that there was just a lot of, it's good enough, let's just chill. And we see that with other companies where it's like, how does Concord exist? I think they originally said that Concord, the original ideation for Concord took place in like 2016. It was like 8 years before it launched. And then they started making it and they founded the studio, and it took years and years and years and years and years to make. It's like, what were you doing that whole time? The story of Highguard, for example, is fascinating. Already there's been reports of what happened with Highguard, where like Highguard apparently started as a totally separate game mode, where it was going to be more MOBA than it ended up being. And then they worked on it and it just wasn't testing well. Players didn't find it fun. So they took all of that stuff out and then tried to reinvent it into something different. And it just ended up as an amalgamation of a bunch of different ideas, and it felt really, really disconnected and weird, but this was something they worked on for years. And then apparently most of the work on Highguard, what it would end up being, happened in the last like 12 months, 9 to 12 months. And it's like for years before that, they were just experimenting, I guess. Like, I have to ask, what were you doing all that time? Like, I get it. There's an incubation process, ideation, refinement, and all of that stuff. But like, what the hell were you doing? Like, teams that work really fast can get stuff done real quick when they have a clear idea of what they want to do and they can execute on it. Like, I remember when I went to, let's see if I can pull this up. I think this is the video. Yeah. So when I went out to see 007 behind closed doors, I flew to Denmark, where the studio is, in Copenhagen. And it was a beautiful city. I don't know how anybody gets anything done there. It's just freaking gorgeous. Like, imagine just walking down the street, you turn the corner and you see that. Like, what are you supposed to do? I would just stop. It's crazy. But when I went out there and I met with the team and we saw the presentation and everything that they did, this was 8 months ago. At this point, at least based on what they told me, they did not have the tax sim mode. They had ideas for it, but that wasn't even in the game yet. They're like, yeah, so we have this idea that we want to be able to have like a system where you can go back through levels and you can like try different modifiers on it, so we can give you the gameplay that you like, but then you can experiment with it in a new way. And I was like, that sounds awesome. But at this point, you're like 6 months out from launch. They delayed it, of course. But I was like, how are they going to get that done? Guess what they got done? Tax sim. And it's awesome. There's like an entire second game mode in 007 First Light that's fully built out. They could have spun it off into its own standalone game, and they just casually tossed it in there for free. Like, yeah, check it out. Long-term replayability. Have fun. Like, but it's a great example of how when you have a clear idea and a team that knows what they're doing, you just say, yeah, okay, this is what we're doing. And they cranked it out and got it done in a matter of months, you know, really, really impressive. But then you compare it to some of these other studios and it's like, you spent how many years experimenting? Like, what is happening? You know, like, how is it that you spent 4 years and then had to restart development because nobody liked the game? Like, how does that happen? How does that happen? So absolutely, efficiency is a big thing. And when he brings up like the Overwatch comparison, that's a big deal. But again, we'll circle back to Bethesda Game Studios specifically in timelines, because that's kind of where this started, and we'll tie it all back together. Right now, I don't know what Jacob's going to title this stream clip. It's probably going to be like game development efficiency or Bethesda and inefficiency, something like that. I don't know. I'll let him figure it out. That's why I pay him. That's why I pay him the big bucks.
Because, you know, it is so expensive. Like, the cost of living in California is very, very high. It means like you can't hire as many developers to achieve, you know, the kind of the dev teams that Genshin Impact can boast is absolutely massive compared to like what's being worked on in some of these Western studios. But I don't know.
It's massive, but it's also not just about size of the dev team. It's also about managing the project, and management in Western studios, I think, has been the consistent weak point. Because at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, what is the role of a manager in any company? Usually it's broader direction. It's managing the labor and work. And then also their goal is to try and elevate good ideas and squash bad ideas, right? Management is very important in game development and in any company. And what has been a consistent thing in game development over the last like 5 years? It seems like there are consistently horrific management decisions being made by companies where you're just like, what were you actually thinking? How did no one say that Saints Row's writing was going to be received poorly? How did no one say that Fair Game $, that whole trailer wasn't going to be received well? How did no one bring up that maybe Highguard shouldn't be framed as the next era of shooters and it's not going to be like a big enough deal to capstone the Game Awards? Like, how did nobody say any of this? Because ultimately it lands on the people that are in charge. It lands on the decision makers. It lands on the idea people. It lands on the managers. And it seems like there has been a consistent issue with maintaining quality management that makes good decisions. Bungie, of course, being the prime example of a mismanaged company that kind of encapsulates all of the horrific decisions that have been made within PlayStation, especially. But also Ubisoft. Horrible mismanagement within Ubisoft. I mean, they've wasted so much time, so much money, so many resources on nonsense. And it seems like now, at least with Assassin's Creed, they might start to be headed into the right direction. We'll see with Hexa what that looks like. Time will tell. You know, I'm optimistic for Hexa. I think that sounds really cool, but we'll see how it comes together. But I think that this is just a big problem within game development, is that for some reason managerial quality has just plummeted. And I think what might have happened and what might be part of this is the live service obsession that kickstarted this generation kind of permeated through the whole industry. And I think what it really truly was this belief that gaming as an industry was headed out of the growth phase and was now in the extraction phase, which is a phase of like the life cycle of an industry that happens, unfortunately, where like you have the lifespan of an industry. It's brand new. It grows a ton in terms of users, and then you start extracting the cash, and maybe like positivity slows and maybe eventually starts growing again. But I think they thought we were right here. And AI, it seems like right now they think that we're like, you know, maybe in here, somewhere about there with like just AI as an industry in general. But it is fascinating to see how they thought we were here. So it's now time to suck all the cash out of people and just, yeah, it might upset some people, but we'll get all the money. It'll be fine. And then they realized that gamers didn't want what they were selling, and it just kind of went to poopy. But how does all of this tie back into Elder Scrolls 6? Well, as we said, efficiency is a big deal. Efficiency is a big problem within the games industry, and that has never been more apparent when it as to how I can't talk. And that has never been more clearly exemplified than with Bethesda Game Studios. Their efficiency has fallen off of a cliff, and this is why I've said for a long time that I don't think we see Elder Scrolls 6 until like 2028 to 2029, which just so happens to be roughly in line with what Jez is saying his rumblings that he's heard lines up with, which would be Fallout 3 remaster next year at some point, probably season 3 of the show, Elder Scrolls 6 a year or two after that, probably as a launch title for the next Xbox, Project Helix, and then Fallout New Vegas remaster some point after that, whenever that is done. It's rumored that both of these are being headed up by Bethesda Game Studios, and so they will be in charge of those. This is also why I wouldn't be surprised if this slips into 2028, if this is like fully in 2029, and if New Vegas Remaster doesn't come until 2030 or 2031, with Fallout 5 probably not coming until 5 to 6 years after that. I'd guess 2035 to 2036 is when we see Fallout 5. And that's assuming they don't fix their managerial issues. Because again, I don't think that they think there's an issue. And that's the bigger problem, is it's easy to rest on your laurels and just keep doing what you have always done when you think everything is going great. I think it's pretty clear a lot of Bethesda's fans are dissatisfied with how things have been run and how things have been announced and how things have been framed and the quality and quantity of work they've gotten in the years that have passed in the last decade or so. Like we compare, and I did this with Starfield when it launched, but a great example of this is if we look at Fallout 4 DLC and compare that with Starfield DLC. Starfield DLC. Okay. And marketing release, reception, sales. Maybe is it listed there? No. Well, Fallout 4 has a really clean description of this. Okay, so as you can see, whoops, too far. So the Automatron, stop, Chloe. There you go. Automatron. Bear in mind, the game launched in November of 2015. March, they have a DLC out. Wasteland Workshop DLC. These are both smaller. Far Harbor is a full narrative expansion that's like, what, 10, 15 hours long? It's been a while since I played it, but it's robust. The writing is honestly really solid. It's probably the best part of Fallout 4, in my opinion. It's really, really good. That launched within 6 months of the base game. Bear in mind, by this point, they still had not launched Shattered Space, which was a horrifically disappointing 4 to 5 hour expansion for Starfield. Then they launched Contraptions, Vault Tech, and then Nuka World launched in August, all before a year had passed. Within 1 year, they'd done all this DLC, 2 expansions that have new original locations, narrative, questing, all sorts of stuff. They did that within a year. And it took them a year to get Shattered Space out the door, and it was received pretty horribly. It was my favorite anecdote with Shattered Space. As you can see, like, you know, Metacritic 62, Steam 5 out of 10. My favorite anecdote for Shattered Space was when it launched, I remember downloading it and I started to play it. And I had set aside like the whole day and night and then the next day to play it and get through it. Because I was expecting like Far Harbor. I was expecting 10, 15 hours. And I remember I booted it up. I played it. And I was like, just chugging along through the story. And I was like, once I get to like maybe the point of no return or something, maybe 10, 15 hours in, I'll stop and I'll go explore like the map and everything. I accidentally finished it because it was so short. Like, I was like shocked when it was over. I was like, wait, that's it? What? But that's just how it is. Like that, it's absolutely crazy. That's It's like 5 hours long. If you go and do all of the additional little bitty side stuff all together and like fully explore the new landing zone and everything, and loot every single box and everything, you can probably stretch it to 10 hours, maybe. But it was like laughably short, and it was mediocre too. There was like nothing there. So I tweeted out, I just accidentally finished Shattered Space. Accidentally finished it. It's like really, really amazingly short. I remember I reloaded to a previous save to see if I had accidentally like skipped dialogue options or something to extend it. But no, it's like, what just happened? And people started commenting on the tweet, like the fanboys that hadn't started playing yet were like, oh, you clearly rushed through it. You probably use console commands to skip stuff, enter God mode, whatever. I don't buy this for a second. By that evening, those comments started to be deleted. They were going back and deleting their own comments because they're like, oh shoot, it is really short. Like, oh God, darn it, you know. But it was because a lot of people wanted it to not be what it was, and so even Bethesda fans who were playing kind of defense for Starfield for a long time had to admit it's pretty mediocre, man. Like, it just is. And this has been my frustration with, I think, the Starfield community especially, but BGS more generally, is that type of behavior doesn't make BGS better. That doesn't make their games better. That won't make Elder Scrolls 6 better. It just won't. If you want them to be better, you have to tell them that this sucks. This is bad. When I see Todd go and do an interview with somebody on like a podcast somewhere, and they blow smoke up his butt, and then they're like, yeah, so a lot of people don't like Starfield. I love it, though. And Shattered Space, I thought was really good. Can you tell us about your process? Like, that's not going to help anything. You got to be honest. So, Todd, Shattered Space, what happened? Leave it there. Ask him. Well, you know, a lot of people really liked Shattered Space. Actually, Todd, a lot of people hated it and thought it was bad. Help me understand. How does that happen? You know, like, I just want any sort of pushback to give any sort of feedback that's direct and, like, let's be real, honest and direct with them. Like, I feel like there is very little honest, critical feedback that makes its way to Todd, because I think that he's kind of at the top of his heap, and unless he's looking on social media for specifically critiques, I don't think he's seeing any of it. We even saw that he talked in a recent video how he goes to he goes on Reddit to the no like sodium Starfield subreddits and stuff to get feedback from the community and everything. I'm like, so you're like specifically looking for the Hugbox feedback instead of critical feedback from people who have historically been your fans. Like, people ask all the time, Luke, why do you talk about Starfield and BGS so much, and like Elder Scrolls 6 so much? It's because I'm a fan, dumbass. Like, they used to make my favorite games consistently. They used to just hit it out of the park constantly. It's been a minute since they did that, in my humble opinion, and it's too bad. I want them to get back to what they were capable of doing, because a lot of that talent is still at the studio, but there is something on a foundational or mechanical level that is preventing the studio from reaching their own potential. And my frustration is that it feels like if you bring that up, there is like no engagement with that. Like, there's just, they don't want to talk about it. It's like, you can't, no. It's actually great. It's actually really, really good. It's really good. So there's that. You know, it's just, I hope they figure it out. Because I would love to see Elder Scrolls 6 come out just swinging and killing it. But it looks like we're going to have to wait until probably 2028 to 2029 before we see it. And then New Vegas remake will come at some point after that. But they've got to figure out efficiencies. They've got to figure out what they're doing, because what they're doing right now ain't really working, it seems. Toxic positivity, I think there's a bit of that. I think it's also just what happens when there is, I think what you consider to be your KPIs matters. Like, what are the key metrics that you care about? And I think for Bethesda, it has turned into concurrent player counts. I think, or maybe total player counts. They talk about those a lot. They care a lot about the money spent in creations with paid mods, how many paid mods are being bought and downloaded and engaged with. They care a lot about like the feedback from the diehard community that is really positive. Like they're looking at that. Game Pass, they care about hours played, so they would rather people play it, like one person play it for 1,000 hours than 10 people play it for 10 hours. They'd rather have that one super diehard guy, because again, Game Pass is all about hours played. So I think that their metrics have just led them down a path where they are hyperfixating on the most diehard of the diehard fanboys, and that's caused a lot of the other people to fall off by the wayside, because they're not looking at their feedback, because they're not part of the KPIs that they really consider. Why is bro wearing a Concord tee? Why aren't you? It's okay to be jealous. It's okay. It's okay. Got it for $7. Can you believe this thing was on clearance? Can you believe that? I can't. It's remarkable. Really remarkable. Okay. Really, really good. Anyway. Where did I leave off? Oh yeah, we talked already about about Unreal Engine 6. That is happening. Let's see. Let's see. Where? Well, I'll do this first. We'll circle back to this. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Trafalgar, thank you for that one. Did you see the cease and desist to the devs of Rage MP? Yeah, I don't think I bookmarked it actually. Rage. If you guys missed it, I can mention this. So I guess technically breaking news. So Take-Two is going scorched earth on another modding multiplayer platform. Basically, there's a group called Rage MP, and it is a group that does a bunch of modding, specifically within the multiplayer ecosystem for GTA Online. As you can see, the multiplayer platform for GTA 5 says it will begin a structured shutdown after receiving a cease and desist order from GTA publisher Take-Two Interactive. The news of the looming closure was shared by the admin team of Rage MP forums via Dextero. Rather, I always mispronounce it. Rockstar Games and Take-Two Interactive have made it clear that 5M is the only authorized platform for GTA 5 multiplayer modding, as defined in their platform license agreement. In accordance with that policy and Take-Two's request, Rage MP will begin a structured shutdown process. We're asking all server owners to wind down their operations and migrate to 5M. That sounds like there was a mighty strong threat of a lawsuit. I'll tell you what, that sounds scary. 5M was the big daddy of multiplayer customization modding platform for GTA 5, enabling players to engage with the game in ways that Rockstar probably didn't envision, like trying to start an online fight club and ending up with shirtless gang called the Friendly Boys, for instance, or becoming a big game trophy hunter and then getting murdered in the forest by a psycho who takes issue with your hobbies. I guess that boy wasn't so friendly after all. Rockstar put considerable effort into banning 5M for violating its policies as, quote, an unauthorized alternative multiplayer service that contains code designed to facilitate piracy. But eventually, possibly after it noticed all the money trucks that kept rolling by, it relented and bought the CFE.RX team that makes it instead. In 2025, Rockstar announced NoPixel 5, the next evolution of GTA 5 roleplay experience, and now inevitably it's also the only permissible GTA 5 roleplay experience. Basically, they have a pathway that they want you to use for GTA roleplay, and if you are not that, you're out. And they have reasons for it. For one, they don't make money from other groups. So if they own a team that's doing stuff and you are threatening that, they're going to shut you down. Second reason, GTA Online, I don't know if you guys have tried it in the last decade. It is a nightmare. It is ridiculously overrun with hackers and there's IP issues where they can track your IP and then DDoS you just for being in a lobby. It is crazy. like honestly, I would not play GTA Online full stop period. I would only ever play private servers because it's so toxic and so insane. But they claim that this also allows them to have stricter control of what's going on and who's modifying files within the game to make roleplay possible. And so they want to shut down third-party teams and just keep it in-house to try and increase security. So far, it's not really working. I'm going to be real, but on PC specifically. It's if you're trying to play GTA Online on PC, don't. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So overall, I am not surprised to see this. They've done this with a number of other teams that have done similar things. And they're going to continue revving up this behavior as they get closer to GTA 6, because they want, when GTA 6 Online launches, for there to be no competition. It is just their first party apps available to it. And I think this is also part of the reason that they will probably do a staggered launch for the online mode on PC. What's expected now, of course, is that they launch the single player on console, and then it comes to PC maybe 6 months to a year later, maybe even 18 months later. I think that will also be the case for the online mode, where it will launch on console first, and then they'll bring it to PC later once they've built out a lot more like security measures and stuff like that, which they are reportedly already actively working on. It's just complicated, as you can imagine. So I'm not surprised to see this. They're going to keep doing it time and time again. It is just one of those things where, it kind of sucks, because the only reason GTA Online exists is because people were kind of rebels and decided to try something different and wacky that Rockstar didn't even think of. They do it, and then it blows up, becomes massive, and then Rockstar's like, okay, well, actually that's mine now. And you guys stop. We're using this. And that's basically what they've done. And I think if they're really strict, they'll miss out on the next great idea. If they don't let people experiment and try wacky different things, they'll miss out on the next GTA roleplay server idea. They're going to miss out on it because they were too strict. So I hope they keep things loose, and maybe they just open it up into like sandbox servers or whatever they want to call it, where they're like, yeah, no, you can mod, you can do whatever you want in sandbox servers. And to get into those, you have to specifically understand and accept that these have lower security tolerances, that these are not like supervised by Rockstar and stuff like that. Maybe they do that and they just let people go crazy in their own private servers like that. But we'll have to see what their goal is and what they do long term. So I'm very, very I hope it's not too heavy-handed. I hope not. Because again, like if you are too heavy-handed, you miss out on good ideas. 5M all GTA RP server like Roblox, says Meat Love 69. What do you mean? 5M all GTA RP server like Roblox. Do you mean, you mean like open it up so people have freedom like on different modes like in Roblox? Is that what you mean? I'm not sure. GTA 6 is supposedly heavy on user content similar to Roblox. Yeah, well, that's where everybody's going. If you listen to the video we did yesterday on when they did the video, or we did the video on Unreal Engine 6, we looked at a couple of snippets from the interview that what's his name? Tim Sweeney. The interview he did on the Lex Fridman podcast, where he talked about the goals for Unreal Engine 6, and it's very clear that their goal is to basically go like big multiverse craziness. Like we even saw this here where you can see, where is it? This right here. Verse Rocket League. Like their goal is for you to be able to buy a skin in Minecraft, in Fortnite, and be able to bring that skin into Rocket League and bring that skin into the Lego modes and bring that skin into this. You can see this is like an example of it. This is the multiverse. They want you to be able to download Fortnite and play any one of these game experiences you want and have all of your spending carry across any of those experiences. That's the goal. And I think what they want to also do within like GTA Online is they want to have like, role play servers where you're playing cops versus robbers, but then they also have just racing servers. And then they have other servers that are maybe like who knows what they'll do, like a gardening mini mode where like you can have Jason and Lucia gardening in the desert. Like they're going to have all sorts of craziness. I think that's ultimately the goal, because they want you playing GTA Online, not just for a year, but for a decade, and spending money every step of the way. And the way you do that is by having a ridiculous amount of content where it just never ends. And people then are not just like online gamers. They're not battle royale gamers. They're not RP server player. Like they aren't just in one sliver. They are specifically interested in the platform. What games do you play? GTA Online. And then everything in there. Because I've talked to people like in the my little brother, for example, and he is one of those guys that like he plays Fortnite. But when he says I play Fortnite, he means I play the 15,000 game modes in Fortnite. So one night I might play only up. The next night I might do the Lego mode. The next night I might do Battle Royale. The next night I might do this or that. Like it's way bigger than just one game, which makes me feel
At
old.
Bender
but-
5049 donated $20 through Super Chat.
Thank you, Bender.
Did you hear about the petition for Bungie to develop Destiny 3? I'm just saying, Stop Killing Games had a petition and look how far it's come.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of people. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, you know, that would be interested in the Destiny 3. I think the problem right now is that, let's say the petition is successful, which I think, honestly, like Destiny 3 probably is the clearest path forward for them. If it is successful, they go, okay, we hear you, we're going to do it. It is still probably 4 to 5 years away at the earliest. Like, the problem is they should have done that 4 years ago and then announced the shuttering of Destiny 2 while also, or discontinuation of development on Destiny 2 is probably more accurate way of saying it. And then they should have announced at the same time, Destiny 3, 2027. They could have done that, but they I think put all their chips on Marathon and it was just short-sighted. But it's because the executives that made these decisions or could have made these decisions 5 years ago, they're all pretty much gone because they sold the company, got their massive paydays, and left. You know? Say his name. It's Bender the Offender. Yes, Bender the Offender. It's good to see you. I was guessing that was you. YouTube did an update, and so now it only shows me the raw text of people's username. So it used to show like Bender the Offender. Now it goes Bender 5049. I don't know why they changed it like that. There's a lot of regulars in here who, you know, might have gone by one name or another. And now it's like, oh, it's not Spec Ops Lab. It's Todd Howard Lover 69. You know, it's just how it works. I don't know why they did it, but they did it. But yeah, I think, you know, I hope the petition is successful. I don't know why they wouldn't, honestly. At this point, it seems to be the clearest like slam dunk for them. The problem is, even if they do it, it's a slam dunk in 5 years. And the question is whether Sony is willing to keep them afloat for all of those years. You know, like, I don't know. Wait, so you can't see that my name is Todd Howard? If that's what you have set your name as, I cannot see that. It just has it as your raw username for me. I don't know why they changed it, but yeah. Let's see. Sony needed to pay Destiny 3 another $300 to $400 million in cost. Well, yeah, that's the thing is, it's also, if they were to start on Destiny 3 now, you can start on that, but these games go through waves and phases, right? So you start with a small team doing ideation. What is this game going to be? What is the gameplay loop? What is the matches look like? Like, what is the game going to look like? You're laying everything out before you, basically designing the game. And then you bring people in to start programming and animating and designing network code and doing all of this stuff to build out what you've designed. So even if they were to greenlight it, the team still doesn't really need to be freaking, 800 strong. So I don't think, even if they greenlight it, I don't think the team stays the way that it is. I think it gets, shrunk a lot more. Let me finish catching on these real quick. Yeah. Hey, Luke, have you talked about Summer Game Fest predictions yet, or state of play predictions? Thank you, Chapter 8, for the 25 months. Oh, baby, that gets a boom. I think that it is Summer Games Fest. I think will be solid. I don't know if there's going to be any big surprises there. Personally, like maybe there is, but I'm not sure if there's going to be any massive, like, blow me away kind of announcements. Like I've heard people say maybe they announce Uncharted 5 at Summer Games Fest, or the GTA 6 trailers at Summer Games Fest. I don't think we'll get anything like that personally. I think it'll be a solid show, but nothing insane. State of Play, I do think there could be big surprises there. And the one thing I can't get over is the fact that State of Play, they are doing watch parties. I don't know if you guys saw this, but they are doing watch parties where you can go to a movie theater. Like, this is an official fan event where they are renting out movie theaters for people to watch the State of Play. I don't think you do that unless you know it's going to be a banger, Like, if you know that your showcase has got like nothing big, if you know that you've got no big announcements, do you do this? I don't know, man. I think that either it's a bad idea or they know they've got something big that people are going to be really excited for. So I don't know what that could be. I think that, as I said earlier in the stream, the three, I think, most likely big splash moments are probably Corey's game from Santa Monica, whatever he's been working on, which is probably that spin-off game. I think Intergalactic, because what do we know for a fact? Like, we know Jason already reported back in December that Naughty Dog was crunching again to finish a gameplay demo in December that needed to be done for executive review. Typically, demos that you see put on at showcases or events, those are usually 6 months old. Usually. So when you see a trailer in June, that probably was made in December. Usually. Sometimes there's exceptions where maybe they finish it in March, but they're not, like, a lot of the time from all of the studios I've talked to, these things are done way in advance, like more than you would think, basically, because it takes a lot of work. So if that's the case, that they were crunching for a demo in December for this to be done in December for executive review. Let's say they finished it, showed it to executives, they give the thumbs up, and now they're going to show it at their next showcase. I think you could get like 5 to 10 minutes of gameplay, potentially, of Intergalactic. So I think that could be a big splash moment as well. The other one is the Hogwarts Legacy sequel. Last time they announced it, like, I think it was 1.5 to 2 years before launch. And we know that they are connecting the game to the show. The show launches in like less than a year, as I recall it. And so I think they should have something to show for the game, because I think they'll launch the game right around the time of the show as well. So I think they will probably, like, they should have something to show soon, is what I'm saying. So I think Hogwarts sequel, Intergalactic probably, and then something from Santa Monica, probably Corey's game, I think is probably what's most likely. Now, knowing that Herman's in charge, 60-minute deep dive of Horizon Hunter's Gathering. Dude, never say never. Stranger things have happened, man. There's that. Unironically, like, no joke. Real talk. Look here, look, listen. We may see the reboot of Fair Game $sign at this event. Okay? That's not actually outside the realm of possibility, because there was just a leak like a few days ago. I wonder if I can find it. Can I find it? Maybe not. Maybe not. There was a leak where, here it is. I showed this on stream the other day. Sony filed a trademark for break-in, and it was for a video game specifically. They just filed this on the 20th of May. And Jason Schreier wrote this. Which, if that doesn't seem to be tying it to Fair Game $, well, I mean, what else will? So I think we may see at this showcase the reveal of Break-In. And it's probably the reboot of Fair Game $. It'll always be Fair Game $, in my heart. Never forgotten. Gone, but never forgotten. But I think that would actually time out pretty well, that they just filed the trademark and we know that they're not giving up on it. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they have Fair Game $, or Break-In showcase there. And apparently it does look way different. Like, the reporting says that now it looks more like the Division or Rainbow Six. Like, it does not look at all like it did back in 2023, which is good to hear. I mean, the goal of feedback is that you improve it. So if they overhauled it and made it way better, that's great. That's exactly what you would hope to see, you know? Do I have a t-shirt for it? Not yet. I don't think they ever sold Fair Game $, shirts, but if they did, I would totally get one. At this point, it's iconic, you know? I can't even tell you guys how tempted I've been to wear some of these shirts at like events, but I feel like sometimes it might be distasteful. You know, like I almost like wore this shirt to like a, I don't even remember what it was, but it was some event where I was like, it might be in bad taste. It might be in bad taste. Yeah, I probably shouldn't do that, but it's funny. Fair Games name has a clean tick to it, though, to be honest. Fair Games, yeah, it's just once it started getting memed on, you don't want people to see the trailer for your game and just talk about the name. Like, you'd rather them talk about what the game is. You know, if all people are talking about is your name and the $ trickery you did with it, I don't think it works. Let the intrusive thoughts win. Oh, I probably will at one point. I'll have a breakdown. A la Jim Ryan taking that London studio photo. Yeah, exactly. I think I think there's probably going to be a couple of things that we roll our eyes at during this. If they're smart, I think they get the live service stuff out of the way up front. Show your Horizon Hunters Gathering trailer early. Same with the Break-In trailer early. Maybe a DLC for Helldivers, whatever they want to do. And then you get into the meat and potatoes. Because as we've seen, if you finish your show on like live service, whatever the hell, people roll their eyes and get upset. Highguard is the perfect example of that. And I think to a certain extent, I mean, that really framed the game in a difficult way, a way that was hard to dig their way out of. But if they can finish this on one more thing and it's like Uncharted 5 or something like that, I think that explodes. And I think that does really, really well. Yeah. Anything recent on The Witcher 4? No, I wish, but not really. They're working on it. We know they're working on it, but we don't know much more than that. We do know, though, this is curiouser and curiouser. Look at this. So, CD Projekt Red announces a special Witcher 3 Blood and Wine anniversary live stream on May 28th. Could this be where they announce the rumored DLC? Yeah, they are doing a DLC celebration anniversary showcase because it's been 10 years since Blood and Wine launched. It's been 11 years since The Witcher 3 launched. And there is a rumored DLC coming that's been made by Fool's Theory, which are the guys that did the Thaumaturge, which is a really unique game you should check out. But they are like, that's supposed to be coming soon, and it's like this year soon, and they're doing this showcase. I wouldn't be surprised It very well could be. It could be a DLC. I think they do like a celebration. They show some like development footage of the process, and right before the stream ends, they go, and there's one more thing we want to share with you, and then they showcase it. My understanding, well, I shouldn't say my understanding. My guess is that this DLC is basically just going to be a narrative connection to tie the end of The Witcher 3 to The Witcher 4, because as of right now, we don't really know how you got there, you know. But I think that the DLC will connect that dot. It's probably not going to be massive. It's probably like a couple hours long. I'm expecting it to be small, but I am so here for it. Like the idea that we are in 2026 and could be getting another Witcher 3 DLC, I am so here for it, and I'm so excited. They have the financial statements and disclosures the same day. I'm just saying. And also, if it's launching this year, what better time to showcase it? I mean, they could go to like Summer Games Fest. They could do that and reveal it there. But if you're going to do your own event, why not just do it there? You know? Why not? Why not? I've been looking for an excuse to play the game again on the current generation. Well, you got it, my friend. You just got it. You got it. I'm guessing it's going to be, like I said, an epilogue DLC. So it's probably like after the main story, after all the other DLC. The fact that they are doing this stream specifically to celebrate the launch of Blood and Wine, that to me suggests that maybe it's an epilogue to Blood and Wine, which I'd be down for. Probably set at the villa or something, but we just honestly don't know much about it. We just don't. So we'll see. We'll see. DLC is $30, bro. How small is it? Well, that's the thing, is that there's some that expect it to be like $30, some that expect it to be free. I don't recall if they've said how much it's going to be. I don't actually remember. But I think analysts. Yeah, this is what it was. Yeah, The Witcher 3's new DLC is expected to sell 11 million copies with a $30 price tag. He previously had leaked the existence of the new DLC earlier this year. He claimed it would arrive in May of 2026, which, oh my God, that's today. Which, I mean, dude, if they shadow drop this, I'm going to crash out. If they shadow drop it, I will cry. Like, dude, he predicted it would launch in May. It's 2 days before the day after tomorrow. Oh my God. That's today. That's where we're at right now. That's where we're at. That's exciting. So if this is the case, I mean, and they shadow drop it, that would be amazing. But it's this analyst that is expecting it to be $30. It might be free. It might be 30. If it's 30, I would expect it to be bigger, because bear in mind, like, I think Blood and Wine was 30, wasn't it? I don't think it was 40. I think Blood and Wine was 30. It might have been 20 for all I remember. I think. So I'm expecting big things, you know. That could be really cool. It was 20. Oh my God. It was 20. So if it's 30, dude, I get inflation. Insert inflation comment here, but dude, Instabuy, if it's an expansion, I'm calling in sick. Dude, I can't even fathom. Like, that would actually get me like giddy. Like, you know, when you're so excited that like you can't take a deep breath, that would get me giddy. Like another Witcher 3 expansion. And if they're charging $30 for it, which this analyst thinks they will, they might not. It might be free. It might be $10. It might be 20. It might be 50 for all we know. But yeah, hard. Exactly. In a word, throbbing. You know? But I think if they do 30, I'm expecting something a little bit bigger, maybe like 15, 20 hours. So we'll see. We'll see. Oh, dude, that would be dude. Can you imagine if in 2 days, by the end of the week, we are playing a Witcher 3 expansion? Flowing. That's what I'll tell you what. Flowing. In a word, stiffens. Yo, Luke Stevens. Luke the Stiffens, something like that. It's just a cutscene for $30. Yeah. I'd admire the chutzpah if they did that. It's $30. You unlock an NFT of a cutscene. That would be a wild choice. I come into stream and the first word I hear is throbbing. Sorry, Snack Jesse. You had to know that was a risk. Yeah. In a word, moldy. Yeah, exactly. But in a good way. In a good way. Bro, I can't keep up with the stuff releasing this year. Dude, I can't either. It's like, I understand there's a lot of cynicism and frustration among the gaming community, but we also have to keep a broader perspective. Like, there are too many games right now. Like, the games that are dropping are really solid. There's a butt ton of them. So much that our backlogs are bigger than they've ever been. I'm practically being blown out by my backlog. My back is blown out by the log, you know? You know? As you do. I'll be playing Crimson Desert. Yeah, that's a good choice. That's a good choice. Do you have the Concord controller? I don't, unfortunately. Yeah. And the log keeps coming. Exactly. It's frankly overwhelming. Just when I think I've taken care of it, it's the log keeps coming. It never stops. Endless. Girthy. You know. That one's on you, Luke. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, yeah. Luke, Oscar Mayer did a Holy 500. Watch it quick. The commentary is... did I say holy? It says indie. Dude, I need new glasses. The commentary was insane. I think it's going to get copyright struck. If it's the Indy 500, I think we get struck down. Like a backlog. I was curious on your thoughts on the Infamous leaks. Infamous is probably one of my favorite games of all time. Yeah, that is an example of a franchise that I think would do so well today that just has been kind of abandoned by PlayStation and not utilized at all. So I would love to see that come back and come out swinging. Fingers crossed, but we'll see. Where did I leave off? CD Projekt Red just announced special Witcher stream. Yes, Melissa. I don't remember if that's where we started. I think that is what made me talk about that. But yes, I'm very excited. We could see it shadow dropped. The analysts thought May, so never say never. The Bad Dads, thank you for the 5. Hey, Luke, I was curious if you heard anything from Old Meter Games. Just played Indica, and it was like a Wes Anderson film meets Tarantino. I have not, but that sounds very, very interesting. I will look into that. I pulled it up in another tab, but no, I've not heard anything from them specifically. Yeah, this is that third person, like, yeah, it's set in alternative Russia at the turn of the 19th century where religious visions clash with a harsh reality. It tells the story of a young nun who sets off on a journey of self-discovery with the most unusual companion by her side, the devil himself. Yeah, that's very interesting. I've not heard anything from them, but coming from 11-bit, I'm not surprised it's good. So thank you for the suggestion. I will look into that. Thank you, my friend. Wild the Great, who knew sim racing cockpits were that damn expensive? I'm getting a 7 Newton meter direct drive wheel bundle, and it's cheaper than the whole cockpit. My brother is super into racing sim stuff, so he would know what that's a reference to. I don't, because I'm not that cool. Let's see. Oh, dude, you guys sent so many super chats. I'm trying to catch up. Oh my God. Marcus, thank you for that one. What happened? Damn, you look fitter and better. Thank you, my friend. I tried losing weight. Imagine that. And yeah, I actually just had a workout this morning. It was a lot. My body is sore. Burned, according to the calorie tracking, burned over 800 calories in an hour. Ooh, baby. That's what you get with HIIT, baby. High intensity interval training. It works wonders Works wonders. Do recommend. Justin, thank you for that. Do you think they're working on a new Batman Arkham game? The rumor has it that they are working on something Batman related, but we will see what happens. It's a ways off if they are. Ivex, thank you for that too. Thoughts on seeing Liza P2 at the State of Play or SGF? I think it's probably too early. I think it's probably another year before we see it. Ross, or Roos Boost the Moose. What a name. Thank you for the 5. Have you tried Deadlock? Luke, been playing it like crazy. Usually not one for multiplayer games, but I'm addicted. I have tried it, but I tried it most recently, like a year ago. So I know it's changed a ton since then. So I should try it again because I know they're constantly updating it. Jack Gord, thank you for the 2. 8 of 28. Oh, for Elder Scrolls 6. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. 8 of 28. Yeah. I'm sure Todd was like, we have to get 6 of 26. That was the goal, but they couldn't get there. Because Elder Scrolls 6, you know, they have the logo and then the 6 drops down lower and then it's 666. But then he'd be like worried about Satanism. Christopher, thank you for the 5. Finding out today that you're 28 makes me feel incredibly old. I need to go lay down now. Take a nap. Put on those big, thick white socks. I've heard that old people like, and then like some New Balance. I think those are popular among the geriatrics. Maybe try that. That could help. I'm sorry I made you feel old. Wilhelm, thank you for the 2. They still have peanuts at buckets at Roadhouse. Dude, not at mine. I wish they did. Shut up. No, you can't get rid of me. Straight up unk status. Yep. I wish they had peanuts at our Texas Roadhouse. They don't. I don't care what anyone says. I love Texas Roadhouse. Big, thick white socks. Yeah. You know those like old person socks that they wear? You know what I'm talking about? Why do I know about that? I prefer Skechers. Yeah, Skechers, like I'm thinking those shoes that are like so thick and they're just totally flat, you know, like, I don't know. There's just, it's one of those classic combos. I know I'm going to wear them, or socks and like moccasins, or socks and, what do they call those sandals? Oh, I can't think of the name of them. Birkenstocks. Socks and Birkenstocks, those thick white big socks that go up to your knee or like halfway up your calf, and then Birkenstock sandals. That's an iconic combo as well. More of a Florida thing. Yeah, Birkenstock. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah. We got there. Had to remember. Elder Scrolls 6 was announced 3 years after I graduated. That's crazy. I'll probably be like 31 or 2 by release. Unironically, yeah. They're taking their sweet time. Key Rift, thank you for the 5. Have you heard of Unleashed, the Avatar being made by a studio in India? It certainly isn't perfect, but the combat record aura has a record amount of aura. I think we did look at a trailer for that. I think we did a stream clip of it because they had a really crazy cinematic, and then they had the sequence where you're like running across the rooftops and stuff. I think we did look at that. It did look crazy, and I'm sure they can continue polishing it up and making it even better. Wavy, thank you for the 5. Hey Luke, whatever happened to the Blade game Bethesda announced in 2023? Allegedly, it's still in production. That's being made by Arcane Lyon. So Arcane Austin did Redfall. They kind of shut down and don't exist anymore. But Arcane Lyon, they do still exist, and they do have their jobs, and they are working on it, but it's just, who knows when we ever see it. Maybe at the Xbox Showcase this year. You never know. Blake, thank you for that 5. Do you think Warhorse is Bethesda's biggest competition? I can't read. Also, I just can't get into Oblivion Remastered, might be because it feels so out of date. Yeah, it's unapologetic in being like a remake of the original, bugs and all. I mean, people were begging for them to keep the bugs, which is a wild thing to happen, but that's because, you know, Bethesda's known for bugs. I don't think it's surprising that you're struggling with it. I think a lot of people did, but do I think Warhorse is Bethesda's biggest competition? I guess it depends on how you define competition. Like, do I think that their games are taking sales away from Bethesda games? Not really. I think that they are in their own kind of lane. Warhorse, their games are more hardcore, I think. Like, I think the way, as a biased fan, because I love KCD, and as you guys know, I don't like the direction Bethesda has gone recently. I would describe Warhorse games as like a filet mignon, as a lean filet ribeye. You know, it's got substance. There's a lot there. And I would describe Bethesda's games recently as popcorn. Like, you can enjoy it. You pop it in. You just can't really think about what you're consuming too much, and you'll be fine. You know, but if you consume too much of it all at once, you'll still be hungry, even though you've been eating for 50 hours, you know? And you're like, I didn't really get much from this. Like, I was busy the whole time. I had stuff to do, but I'm not satiated, you know? You play KCD and you're like, I am satisfied. Where I haven't felt that with Bethesda in a bit, you know? Combat is kind of jank, my only complaint, which is fair. I think the first game especially, combat is janky, for sure, absolutely. Second game got way better. Way better. Way better. Takes a little getting used to, but once you do, you can get into it. So I would not consider Warhorse to be their competition. I don't think they consider themselves competition. I think the framing, though, for Bethesda is going to be constantly compared probably between CDPR and even Larian to a lesser extent with the RPG side of things. But it's going to come down to how they sell Elder Scrolls 6. Because if they sell it as an open world RPG, which is what they've historically done with Elder Scrolls, then they put themselves in the same bucket as The Witcher, as Larian's games like Baldur's Gate and Divinity. And that is going to be a competition that you're going to struggle to win, you know, because those are phenomenal games. And do we really think Elder Scrolls 6 is going to have like choice and consequence like Baldur's Gate, or writing and cinematic quality on the level of The Witcher? Like, probably not. So I think it's going to come down to how they sell it and how they pitch it. Starfield was lucky because there's not a lot of mainstream games on the same level that are trying to do the same thing. It was quite unique in what it was trying to do. Even like No Man's Sky, it's a very different kind of game than Starfield. Like, yeah, you can compare the space exploration stuff, but like, it's very different. But as far as fantasy open world adventure games go, there's a lot of competition that can be brought up. Crimson Desert's better counter. Yeah, I think a lot of comparisons will be drawn between the two. Absolutely. So it's going to come down to how they frame it. But I wouldn't describe probably Warhorse as competition. Probably more like CDPR. Pearl Abyss, I think, is with Crimson Desert a good comparison. And even Larian, if they try to frame it as an RPG, you are going up against the king, you know? And if you go up against the king, you got to knock him out. That's the thing. Anti-Parzival, thank you for the 12 months. We made it a year. Boom. Thank you, my friend. Do you think Microsoft is just going to be hands-off with Bethesda until 2035 for the next mainline Fallout game? I doubt it. I think Phil was. I think Phil didn't want to mess with it too much. Asha, it remains to be seen. I don't think Asha wants to deal with the studios directly. I think she is going to have Matt Booty do that. But I do think Asha is tuned in enough to the community where she's seeing all of the people begging for Fallout New Vegas remake, and she's seeing all the people beg for Fallout sooner. I think Asha might tell Matt, go give Fallout to another studio. We're not waiting till 2035. I think Asha is pragmatic enough to do that, whereas Phil, I think, was just tired. I get the feeling that Phil was just done by the end, you know. Matt, what? I'm not kidding. I'm not being a jerk. His name is Matt Booty. Okay, I'm not kidding. Okay, I don't want anybody to be like, oh, Luke's making fun of this guy named Matt. No, his name is Matt Booty. Okay, I'm not being a jerk. I'm saying it right. Okay. Matt is in charge of Xbox Game Studios. So his job is to run all of the studios for them, which is, that's just how it works, you know? So I think that it's going to come down to him. He's been in position for a long time, so he's done this for a while. He has those relationships at the studios, and notably, he did not leave when Phil and Sarah left. So I think Asha, and she was not afraid of restructuring stuff. So the fact that Asha is keeping him on shows me that she wants to still have a connection to the studios that's been there a while, which is what Matt's been doing. Matt's role is to be kind of the in-between between Microsoft executives and the studios themselves. And so I think it probably comes from Matt, but that command will come from Asha to Matt, if that makes sense. So So I think they would have kept hands off, but I wouldn't be surprised if Asha comes and crushes some skulls to be like, figure it out. I don't want to wait 15 years. Chief Adam, thank you for the 10. I think Todd himself is their biggest roadblock. The fact that he has to approve everything in the game and he's not always around means things can get clogged and backed up. Well, to be clear, the interviews and stuff recently from former Bethesda employees has shown that Todd does not want to be the bottleneck. He has tried to promote and elevate other people into game director positions or game questing director or narrative director positions where they can give the thumbs up and he doesn't have to see everything. So for Starfield, he was way less involved than he was with Fallout 4. And the expectation is that he's way less involved with Elder Scrolls 6 than he was certainly with even Fallout 4, and probably way less involved than even Starfield. Because bear in mind, for most of Starfield's production, Todd was still in the studio. They weren't doing TV shows. They weren't trying spin-off stuff. He wasn't an executive producer on Indiana Jones. Todd was a lot less busy during Starfield. He's a lot more busy now. I think he's probably even less involved than he was with Starfield. So, and as I've said before, I've defended Todd on this point. Todd, the data we have is that when he is more involved, the game is better. When he's less involved, the game is worse. There's a correlation to his involvement. And as he's gotten less involved in game development and in what they do in the studio, the game's quality seems, in my opinion, to have dropped. Which is, that makes me worried about Elder Scrolls 6, because it seems like the big decision makers within Bethesda are probably going to be Emil. I think Emil Pagliarulo is probably going to end up doing most of the direction with Elder Scrolls 6 because he's in the studio, whereas Todd is, I think, juggling a lot more. So, make of that what you will. But it seems that that's the thing, is that Todd's been trying to get out of the way, but that means that the people around him are now making those decisions. And I think a lot of people's frustration is that the people making those decisions now are not the people that they would like to be making the decisions, which is a whole separate issue. Okay, thank you, Bender the Offender, again for that very generous 20. Appreciate you. Meta, thank you for the 5. I find it hilarious that C-suite executives with their 7-figure compensation packages and all their industry experience get bothered by internet memes. Yeah, they get bothered by it. Well, the thing that executives hate more than not making money is not being taken seriously and being mocked, because a lot of them are in an echo chamber and a bubble where in the office building, everyone treats them like a god because you have to, they're the boss. And so the moment that they go out into the public and then they're getting memed on or hated on, they don't know how to handle it. One of the best examples of this was EA back in 2014, 15, 16, somewhere around there. They won the worst company in America 2 or 3 years in a row. And they were going up against Bank of America, companies that actually were low-key evil with a lot of the stuff they did to their customers. And EA was winning the competition for worst company in America. And reportedly, those executives were mortified and hated that they were hated. And so they did a lot of work to try and overhaul the company and get it figured out. It's crazy, but that's what they did. They worked their butts off to try and overhaul it. And they aren't on those lists anymore. At least I don't think they're winning as much. But these executives, they really hate being a laughingstock. But that's why it's also been interesting. Sean Layden used to go to all of these events for the PlayStation games. Phil Spencer would go to events for Xbox games. Yves Guillemot, even the CEO of Ubisoft, he goes to the events for Ubisoft games. He tries to be active and present. Herman Hulst, as far as I'm aware, has never attended, since taking his position, any of the big promotional events for their games. Whether it's Saros, whether it's Marathon, he sends video calls. He sends a 2-minute video clip of him in his office talking, being thank you so much for being here. And I'm so excited for you to see the game that we are going to show you today. It's he doesn't want to be there. I find that very interesting. It's just, you can tell a lot about when somebody is willing to interact directly with you versus stay holed up in an office somewhere, you know? It's very interesting. Nerdy Giant, thank you for the 10. So much info dropping about streams and events. Square just announced a stream for Dragon Quest. Oh, baby. Dragon Quest Summer Game Fest is upon us. Yeah, dude, it really snuck up on us this year. But yeah, we're about to get a flood of content, so buckle up. A flood of info. And then things will go quiet in July. And then it's going to ramp up again as we go into the sprint towards the fall and winter. It's going to be a mad dash, I think, from August through October probably. GTA 6 will hit, and then nothing in December. Then January stuff will start to pick up again. But yeah, I'm expecting it's going to be kind of insane for a little bit. Black Flag in July, yeah. Thankfully it's early July, and normally like nothing launches in July, so that'll be really, really solid. Nice to have. Okay, I read that one. Lucas Swigo, thank you for, I think that's what it is. Thank you for that super chat. Random question, Luke, have you heard anything about Arcane's upcoming Blood game? It's been 3 years or something since the reveal. Oh, I did read that one. And yeah, I don't have any information about it. I think that they are still chugging along on it. It just seems like it was announced way too early, and they are just working on it, and they will put it out when it's ready. Unfortunately, we just don't have more than that. But it's not leaked. It hasn't shown up in any sort of like leaked, like expect this at the showcase. So it might even still be another year away. I think they did the trailer and they showed it off probably when it had like pretty recently been announced. I hope it's not in development hell or trouble, but yeah, it's still allegedly happening. Yeah, there's just not much more to say about it. If I hear something, I'll talk about it, but I still have heard nothing about it. RPG Veteran, thank you for that. Luke, I replayed the Arkham games, come to a conclusion. Night and City are the best. Love Insomniac Spider-Man games, but I can't even come close. Yeah, dude, City for me will always be the best. I love City so much. Arkham City, there's just nothing quite like it. I replayed it relatively recently. I mean, maybe a year or two ago. And it surprised me how small the map was. I remember it being way bigger, but it's by modern standards, minuscule for an open world game. Really well executed and well done, but it is way smaller than I remember it being. It's just funny how that works, right? Like you play a game and you're like, I remember this being impossibly huge. And now I go back through it and it's like, I can get from one side of the map to the other in like 40 seconds. You know, it's funny how that works, but you know, that's what happens when you go back and you play games that you once spent a lot of time on, you know? Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah, I love Night. Night is good. It does start to slow down towards the end, and there's a lot of like stupid plot holes where they're like, why doesn't the Arkham Knight just put like a single civilian in the tanks that he's swarming Batman with? Because Batman won't kill innocent civilians or anybody. He won't kill, so just fill your tanks swarming him with civilians. And there is a line of dialogue in the game where Arkham Knight will say, and you're probably wondering why I didn't just put one of my guys inside the tanks, because it would make it too easy. It's like, come on, man. Come on. You hate Batman. You want him dead. You're trying to kill him. You're like, I could easily do this, but that would be too easy. Like, it was so stupid. There's a couple of moments like that in Arkham Knight, as I recall it, where I'm just like, really? Is that what we're doing? Okay. I get it's a video game, but come on, man. Yeah, anyway, but I just love City. City will always be my sweetheart. But I love what they did with Batman also in Nights, or with Batman, of course, with Joker in Night. Like the way they finish it. No spoilers in case somehow you haven't played it, because it's such a cool moment. If you still have not played it, you absolutely need to. But the final sequence with Joker, I'll just say when you send him off, is so good. I get like goosebumps thinking about it. It's so good. It's so good. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Nerdy Giant, thank you for the 5. So IGN and other bigger outlets have yet to post their 007 reviews. Not that it matters, but IGN recently has been posting reviews in progress. That's interesting. I didn't know they hadn't posted it yet. I wonder if they are now hesitant because they don't want to be flamed if they are an outlier. So they're doing review in progress, or they just delay their review so that they miss the initial wave of attention, and then they can just put it out when it's just kind of like, you know, I wonder. But that's interesting. I didn't know that there were a bunch of outlets that hadn't posted. The embargo timing was weird. It was at like 6 a.m. this morning for me. I had to wake up, and even then I was like a little late because I set my alarm an hour later than I was supposed to. The review embargo lifted at 6 a.m. I accidentally set my alarm for 6:30 a.m. I did that thing where like late at night you try to set your alarm. I set it to 6. I like moved the hour hand to 6, and then I scrolled backwards on the wheel thinking that it was going to scroll back to 5:30, and it didn't. So I woke up like a half hour late, and then I published it. But anyway, who cares, Luke? I don't know why you needed to know that, but there you go. Lonely, thank you for that too. Do you think we see an Iron Man game this year? Personally, no. But it would be cool if we did, but I'm personally not expecting it. And then Bean Dippins, thank you for the 5. Is it worth buying a 15-hour game for $70 like First Light? Ultimately, the only one that can answer that question is you. I have a buddy who was texting me this morning. He's in the same boat where he's like, I don't know, it's kind of on the edge for me. It's up to everybody. It just depends on what your like value, how you evaluate the value proposition. For me, it is like a game tailor-made for me. It's big budget blockbuster cinematics with a compelling narrative and then also really solid gameplay. And it has really good replay value as well. So for me, it's like exactly what I was looking for. I don't want it to be like, I don't think if it was magically bloated 5 more hours that it would be better. You know, I'd rather have 15 hours where it felt like every scene was necessary and moved the plot forward. I'd rather have that than just have a big third act that's super bloated and slows things down. So I'm happy with how this is. I was hoping it would be somewhere between 12 and 15 hours. And it's at the tail end of that. It's like 14 to 15 hours for most people, I think. So it's exactly what I was hoping it would be. But ultimately it's up to you. If $70 for 15 hours for you is too steep, totally fine. Get it on sale or whatever else. You know, if you can get it discounted, it's great. I think you should play it. It's really good. But as with all of these things, it comes down to value proposition. And some people are different. Some people, like with Crimson Desert, they were like, I was really interested. I can't spend 300 hours on a game. So I'm out. And so for some people, they have the opposite problem of you, where they're like, it's too big for my money. I don't want to get into something that's going to take me a super long time to finish it, you know? So it's always up to individuals. That's why I just try to describe what the game is, frame it as a game itself, and then let you evaluate the price offering. Because there's experiences that are amazing that are only like 2 hours long, you know? For some people, they might be willing to pay $70 for it. Probably not a lot, but there's some incredible like indie games that are really, really good that are really short, you know? Still worth playing, but for some people, the price isn't going to make sense. And so it's just up to you to figure out what that balance is. Well, the great, thank you for that. Arkham Knight is overrated. The story is met and there's some bad voice acting when Ivy dies and Bruce confronts AK. City is incredible. The first Insomniac Spider-Man beats City in my opinion. The first Spider-Man was very, very good. I don't actually know if it's a hot take. I think the first Spider-Man game is way better than the second. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. I guess you guys in chat can tell me. But I feel like Spider-Man for the PS4 is way better than Spider-Man 2. That being said, I am biased. I love City, and City is like my precious, my flame, my muse. I love it. So I'm always going to think that that's better, but yeah. First game. So it sounds like it's not a hot take. Yeah. Not a hot take. First game's better. Okay. I never know with like some of these PlayStation and like superhero games as well, because there's some people that are like diehard fans of 2 and are always like shocked. I met a guy at an event recently. He was like a TikToker, I think, and he's a nice guy. I don't recall his name, but yeah, I wasn't familiar with him, but he was a very nice guy. We chatted about a bunch of games, but he was like, I made an off the cuff comment where I was like, yeah, or you could just like totally nosedive with the sequel like Spider-Man 2. He was not a fan of that comment. Like, he was shocked that I didn't like Spider-Man 2. He thought it was like one of the best games ever made. Like, he thought it was masterpiece level. And so he was like stunned. It would be like me just casually mentioning like, yeah, can you imagine screwing up a sequel like Red Dead 2? Like, that's the way he reacted was like I said that. It was like, what? what are you talking about? Like, he was genuinely shocked. And I was like, I feel like this is a pretty common feeling, but yeah, there's it was the first like die-hard Spider-Man 2 fanboy I'd ever met. And it's fine to be a fanboy of something that's like not super popular to be a fanboy. That's fine. But it was just fascinating to me that like whatever bubble he was in, he was not at all familiar, you know? Like it's just absolutely baffling. Oh yeah, super chat.
DSP Gaming donated $5. On this day of May 26th, Phil Burnell had a nice fix. He opened a pack of Pokemon cards. He busted so hard, he flew to Mars. This the tale of Philip Burnell, and to all I bid farewell.
And then he burst. Thank you. I did see some of the Pokemon pack openings. Some of those bits. Is there one of these clips? Yeah, dude. I don't know how opening packs goes, but I've never seen somebody wearing like gloves, like white gloves to open packs. I don't think I've ever in my life seen that. Like it's just baffling. The DSP? No, I don't think DSP would give money willingly. But I appreciate the poem. I appreciate that. Mickey Mouse ass gloves. Yeah, exactly. Nothing can stop us now. I'll show you how. We're gonna make it happen. Open some packs and do some polls in the countryside. Yeah, man, it was a bold thing. Like, if you want to open packs, that's cool. You have the right to do that. That's totally fine. But my understanding is that he was trying to tie it to $50. So the box is like $300, and then he was trying to charge $50 to open one of the packs, of which there's like 33, 34, 35, something like that. So he wanted to make like $3,500 to open all of the cards in the box. And it's supposed to be like a gift to the audience. I'm like, what is your problem, dude? Like, what is your problem? Like, imagine be like, hey guys, I have a gift for all of you. I have a gift. I have a super cool exclusive thing sent to me by a game studio in this box. But I need $1,000 before I open it. You'd be like, get out of here. Like, what is your problem? Because it's insane. It is crazy. It's like, you're welcome. Give me money. It doesn't make any sense. Like, it's so stupid. But, oh, that's how it goes. Never underestimate the power of the insanity of begging for money. So there you go. But thank you, DSP, for the money. That's most definitely what's up. Thank you. Oh my god. Let's see. Gameplay is better in night compared to city. It is like 5 years later. I do think a lot of the like the what did they call them? The fear takedowns. Those were really cool. Tying those together. And I do like the Bat Tank. The Bat Tank I think gets a bad rap. I like it. I just don't like how they take like, 45 minutes to do a segment with the Bat Tank when everybody was like kind of burnt out on it after 5 of those sequences. So I think pacing was one of the bigger problems for it. But yeah, gameplay in night is really, really good. It's really good. I guess it won't be opened. Yeah, no, it's not. To be clear, it's not a gift from a game developer. It is a camera. This is what I bring to like events to film stuff. So it's not actually something from a game studio. You don't have to give me money to see, okay? See, Phil, that's how you do it. Okay. Let's do, I think, I'm kind of ran out. Time flies when you're having fun. 3.5 hours. My God. Yeah, if you open the packs, you live with the consequences.
You chose to broke the law. Live with the consequences.
Live with the consequences. Do you think 007 will win Game of the Year? I would not bet anything on anything beating GTA 6. But I also would have said the same thing about Red Dead 2, and then God of War did it. So I think if we're talking about the Game Awards, you have to remember the Game Awards is a panel of game journalists from like big outlets that are voting to select the winner. So it's not I don't think, even though I think Crimson Desert should be in the conversation, I don't think Crimson Desert will be, you know, like the types of games that will be nominated for Game of the Year are the ones that are going to be popular among the games media, because they're the ones that will select that Game of the Year. Is Hitman in the running for my Game of the Year? I think so. It's really good. But do I think it'll be in the running for 2026 Game Awards Game of the Year? Honestly, probably, but is it on the level enough to beat out like GTA 6? I'm not sure. You know, that's just another level. Mixtape, like unironically, that's why I said I think if we're talking about Game of the Year contenders, like IGN did not give Crimson Desert a 10 out of 10. You know what game they gave a 10 out of 10? Mixtape, because I think that that's the kind of game that like they like, obviously, you know, they gave it a 10. So if we're trying to figure out what's most likely to be selected by like a panel of games media, you got to look at the games that are scoring really, really, really high on Metacritic. So I think like Requiem, probably, 007 probably gets a nod or a nomination. I think if like Onimusha launches later this year, that probably gets a nod. GTA 6 probably gets a nod. From Software stuff always reviews really well, so probably that. Duskbloods, if that ends up launching this year, that probably gets a nod. So, you know, very quickly that list starts to fill up. You know, Lego Batman very well could. I think it gets filled up pretty quickly, and that's why usually Metacritic scores, you can get a rough idea of what like the nominations are going to look like. But that doesn't mean that it has to be what your Game of the Year is, you know, just because everybody's different and your tastes are going to be different. But I think it's probably going to be in the conversation. But like, just to put it in perspective, I mean, like, what am I typing? When we talk about Metacritic scores, this is the last Rockstar game. Do you have any freaking idea how hard it is to get a 97? Like, do you have any idea how hard that is? Especially when you know that like every publisher and every outlet out there is going to be like, yeah, we could get a lot of clicks if we're the outlier that gives it a 6. Honestly, I don't think it's that good. Horses are kind of slow. I wish there were cars. Like, you know, there's going to be, Red Dead 2, 6 out of 10, too much grass. In order to get a Metacritic score above like 90 is remarkable. To get it above 95 is damn near impossible, but that's what Rockstar regularly does. So you are going to be going up against the behemoths, you know, of gaming. And that is a tough battle. You know, it's just tough, but there will be contrarians. I mean, maybe closer to launch, we'll do a prediction thread where we'll pull up like the biggest game media outlets and we'll predict who gives it the outlier score, like who's going to be the contrarian. Like, does IGN give GTA 6 a 5 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10? Does Eurogamer do something stupid? Like, I wonder if there's going to be something like that. Maybe we'll do that. That could be fun. But yeah, when we're deciding what's going to get nominated for Game of the Year with the Game Awards, it's not about what like you think is best. It's about what you think the games media will select as best, which is sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes a different question. Like, remember how they just pretended like Hogwarts Legacy didn't exist the year it came out, even though it was the biggest game of the year? That kind of thing. Where like this probably should have been nominated for music or like action adventure games, you know, but they just pretended like it didn't exist. It was like frickin' Voldemort. Just don't say the name, you know? So I think it's a different question. It's a different question than just purely what game you think is the best, you know? The people should get the majority of the votes, not the media. The danger with that is that if you open it up purely to popular vote, all of the Japanese mobile games will win everything. Just being honest. Like if you open it up, all of a sudden, Genshin Impact will win every award. You know, like that's just how it is, because they put up a little pop-up, hey, if you'd like 50 in-game coins, vote for us for the Game Awards, and they'll do that, people do it, and all of a sudden it just explodes. You know, that's how it happens. Yeah, Genshin Impact will win forever. Yeah, that's the ultimate problem with like, and people are like, oh no, it's bots. No, dude, seriously, there's millions upon millions of players on those mobile games. They just have to get a sliver of them to vote, and they will blow out of the water any other game. Like, cause it's just different. Like it just is. Which is kind of what happened with Player Choice last year, I believe. So yeah, anyway. It's a tough thing to balance for sure. But what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to call it there for today. Sorry we didn't stream yesterday. Like I said, the schedule's been kind of wonky. We had some internet problems, but go watch the 007 First Light review on the main channel. Go check that out. It went up this morning. I recommend it. It's really good. Hot, steamy, and the gameplay is really good. It's just really well executed, and IOI, they know what they're doing, man. They know what they're doing. So I highly recommend it. Go check it out. Much love. I will see you guys soon. When's the next stream? Well, Thursday, CDPR is doing that showcase, or not showcase, that thing for Blood and Wine, where they might shadow drop a DLC. Fingers crossed. So maybe we co-stream that, see what that is, and possibly get super disappointed. I don't know. We could do that. Reminds me of when Astrobot won Game of the Year. Good game, but over Wukong, I also thought it was kind of weird. Like, Astrobot's good, but it, like, you know, I get what you mean. I'm with you. Anyway, much love. I will see you guys soon. Hugs and kisses. Thank you, as always, for being amazing. I'll see you soon. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye. Mwah.